Approximately 3, 2, 1. What up, folks? Once again, it is your boy Tim, the handsome liberal, depending on who you ask. Tonight, certainly the topic is very much topic. We're talking about the fact that a government shutdown is only a few hours away. Once again, our government will shut down, and the tentacles of our government shutting down is going to cover a whole lot of areas. You know, federal employees not getting paid, Social Security and certain payments not being sent out to Americans, work that is being done, not being done, or being temporarily halted, parks and recreational areas, federal parks and federal recreational areas being shut down. There's a lot to unpack here. But that is all part of the government shutdown that is going to start, I believe, at midnight. So we're about 3 hours or so away from that. We're going to be asking right off the bat, who do you think is responsible for this? Who do you think is responsible for this government shutdown? So we're going to talk about it from that standpoint. I guess we would also ask, should the Democrats had just caved? Should the Democrats had just caved and went along with the Trump administration for the sake of keeping the country operational? Should they just, because it does not sound like the Democrats were really being offered or given anything that they wanted out of this. So the only option for the Democrats was probably either to let the country shut down or cave and go along with the Trump administration for the sake of keeping the country open. So we're going to ask that question. Should the Democrats had just caved and gave in for the sake of keeping the country open? If you were advising the Democrats, what would you have advised? We're going to talk about it from that standpoint. But in addition to the government shutdown, this other topic is, this is a series of topics, but it's certainly going to end up probably dominating what we talk about, because it is indeed dominating the news. Pete Hegseth, I'm sure you heard Pete Hegseth speaking today, and in front of all of the generals, he had a lot of controversial things to say, and for lack of a better term, his speech did not disappoint for folks who were listening in. I don't know why I'm not getting audio here, but bear with me for a moment. So for some reason, my program's jacked up. Oh, I think I know what's going on. This is Hegseth. I'll rewind it a couple seconds back because I wasn't quite ready, but...
As the chairman has put it, we are clearing out the debris. For time, we've promoted too many uniformed leaders for the wrong reasons, based on their race, based on gender quotas, based on historic so-called firsts. We've pretended that combat arms and non-combat arms are the same thing. We've weeded out so-called toxic leaders under the guise of double-blind psychology assessments, promoting risk-averse, go-along-to-get-along conformists instead. You name it, the department did it. Foolish and reckless political leaders set the wrong compass heading, and we lost our way.
Do you think that Hegseth is onto something? Do you think our military was as jacked up as he is indicating? That, like I said, maybe this is something we needed to do. Do you see Hegseth leading us down to some sort of path towards righteousness? Because Hegseth really laid into these folks. He laid into these folks in regards to what they can and can't do. Here's one that has been very controversial. You've probably heard it plenty of times already.
If we do, train like your warriors' lives depend on it, because they do. To that point, basic training is being restored to what it should be: scary, tough, and disciplined. We're empowering drill sergeants to instill healthy fear in new recruits, ensuring that future warfighters are forged. Yes, they can shark attack, they can toss bunks, they can swear, and yes, they can put their hands on recruits. This does not mean they can be reckless or violate the law, but they can use tried and true methods to motivate.
What does he mean? Listen, I'm not former military, so when he says put their hands on recruits, now I've seen in the comments Zaddy Daddy says our military is soft compared to when I served. You know, my dad he was a Marine. He served in the Vietnam War, and he talked about how back then your drill sergeant could punch you. They could hit you. If you were not doing what was right in boot camp or whatever, they could punch or hit you. Now, Pete Hegseth is saying that drill sergeants can put their hands on you. I don't know if he means they can actually go back to punching and hitting on you, but in regards to what Zaddy Daddy 40 is saying in the comments, our military is soft compared to what it was when he served. The issue is, and I don't disagree probably with what you're saying, but when you think about how our military is ran, the same sort of combat confrontational action doesn't really happen anymore. Most of the stuff we do now is via weapons. I mean, you don't have the hand-on-hand combat. You know, the what did they used to call it? The bonsai charge that the Japanese, you don't deal with that stuff as much anymore. So, I mean, I'm not saying that people should not be tough, but the fact is a lot of the way we fight now is all electronics. You're not going to have your hands directly on the enemy. You know, you make you shave your head because in a fight, you don't want the enemy to be able to grab your hair. Nobody does that. We've been at war now constantly since World War II. Very few of our wars nowadays actually involve you having to actually get into a fist fight with the enemy. That stuff doesn't happen anymore. So I understand the military is not as tough as it used to be, but you just aren't involved in the same sort of conflicts. I mean, you got folks that are sitting in trailer parks out in the middle of Nevada in an air-conditioned room using drones to bomb shit that's in Afghanistan. How tough does that guy need to be? That's what we're doing now. We're not running across, no man's land to get to the trenches and actually deal with the enemy. This isn't Rambo anymore. The era of needing that, I don't know if it's necessary, but I do want to hear from you folks on it. But in addition to what Hegseth talked about in regards to making our military personnel into more stronger, tougher warriors, the commander-in-chief himself, President Trump, also had an interesting statement he made.
The Democrats run most of the cities that are in bad shape. We have many cities in great shape, too, by the way. I want you to know that. But it seems that the ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places. And we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war, too. It's a war from within. Controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security. We can't let these people in. But we're running it based on common sense and based on love of our country. But I want to salute every service member who has helped us carry out this critical mission. It's really a very important mission. And I told Pete we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military, because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city.
Now, by way of yes or no in the comments, you hear President Trump say he told Pete Hegseth we should use some of the dangerous American cities as a training ground for our military. I definitely want to hear from you folks on what you think about that. Do you think that we should train our military by letting them have, I suppose, interaction with actual American citizens? Train our military by letting them have access to dangerous U.S. cities. Now, you know what our military is needed for, places like Fallujah and Kabul and things like that. Do you think you could be properly trained to deal with Kabul or Fallujah by dealing with citizens of Chicago or Los Angeles, as he's talking about? I mean, because you know what it takes to maintain safety in Kabul or Fallujah. You know what you may have to do. Should you sharpen your chops in the Windy City or the City of Angels? Is that what he's saying? To actually get training in dangerous American cities. So I do want to hear from you folks on that as well. But I'm just going to tell you my own humble opinion. That sounds kind of frightening. That sounds kind of scary. You're going to train the American citizens. You're going to train the American military by using American citizens. Wow. So I suppose you learn how to toss grenades and all of that, huh? By throwing them into maybe drug dealer homes or something like that. By throwing them into American homes. You learn, you sharpen your chops by actually dealing with Americans. That, to me, sounds frightening, but I certainly would love to hear from you folks. But before we continue, and I'll start taking calls shortly, Hegseth.
Some of it obvious, some of it hidden. Or as the chairman has put it, we are clearing out the debris. For too long, we've promoted too many uniformed leaders for the wrong reasons. Based on their race, based on gender quotas, based on historic so-called firsts. We've pretended that combat arms and non-combat arms are the same thing. We've weeded out so-called toxic leaders under the guise of double-blind psychology assessments.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to start taking calls and going to comments. What I just want to say real quick is, I really do wish that the Trump administration had a Lincoln Riley example. You know, listen, we need to secure the border. Here is Lincoln Riley. You see what happened to her when we did not secure the border. Somebody came in the country and they don't took this young woman's life. A Lincoln Riley example. It's an extreme. It doesn't happen with most immigrants, but there was an example to use with Lincoln Riley. All of this woke stuff in the military, people are getting these positions, DEI, that they allegedly did not earn. People of color, women, folks of the LGBTQ community. I really wish there was a Lincoln Riley example they could present to show here is a DEI hire that was driving a train and all of a sudden they got into a crash and we got dozens of lives lost. Or somebody was flying a military aircraft that never should have been a pilot, but because they were gay, they gave them a pilot's license and here's a bunch of death. I don't hear any examples of what he's talking about. If you got all of these woke policies leading to all of these DEI hires, where's the person that fucked up? I mean, did you put in a bunch of DEI people and they certainly all actually did become qualified? Not one Lincoln Riley example. To me, something about that seems fishy. Anyhow, yeah, as you know how the program works, we don't block, ban, or censor any damn body. We are MAGA friendly. Always have been MAGA friendly, always will be MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome on the program as well. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having a dinner with Q. If you favor uncensored dialogue, we're about to get into it. Feel free to follow the program if you're watching on TikTok or Instagram. Give your boy a sub if you're watching on YouTube. Looking in the comments, bullshit, everybody had to take the ASVAB. Well, but they're claiming somehow, some way, even though everybody had to take the ASVAB, freedom fighter, that somehow, some way, people of color, women, and folks that are of the LGBTQ community are getting promotions and getting entry into places where they don't belong, where they should not have gotten it. I wish, like I said, I wish he could provide an example of somebody that actually happened to. I'm not seeing it. And I would concede, but I'm not seeing it. A drunkard and a draft dodger giving a lecture, said Sassy Mo. Well, those are the people we voted for. Let me go straight to the box. We'll go ahead and start the program off with Big Country. Good evening, Big Country. Welcome to the program. Do you agree with the Trump administration that our soldiers need to be more tougher, that you can put your hands on them in boot camp to make a warrior out of them?
Absolutely. I went through basic back in 2007, and it was kind of right before everything started, the stress cards and all that kind of stuff. But they were still able to do what they needed to do. I had one soldier that yelled back at the drill sergeant because he didn't want to do something. The drill sergeant put him on the ground. I mean,
when you say put him on the ground, you don't mean he made him do push-ups. You mean he physically threw him to the ground.
He physically put him on the ground. Now, granted, this kid, he kind of brought it on himself. He yelled and screamed right in the drill sergeant's face, disobeying an order or directive that the drill sergeant gave him. And the drill sergeant wasn't having it, so he put him on the ground, got in his face, was yelling at him, didn't physically hurt him, but he's basically letting this kid know, you are going to train the way we're going to train you. Because basic, especially back then, it was meant to break you down and break you of bad habits of a civilian.
Okay.
And then towards the end of your basic training is to build you back up to be that stronger soldier.
Is that not happening now? Is boot camp really easy or something?
Because I served, like I said, I went through in 2007, and I did 8 years active and then 8 years National Guard.
Appreciate it.
But we had kids coming out of basic training that were like, yeah, we had stress cards, we had our cell phones. We didn't want to train or things got too hard. We just pulled out our stress card and kind of let it sit off to the side.
What is a stress card? What is a stress card?
It was, I think they started coming around in the late 2010s, like around 2015 or something. If the recruit felt overwhelmed, they could pull this out to protect their mental health.
So let me ask you this. I'm assuming you do not agree with the stress card, right?
No.
So if
I disagree.
okay, fair enough. So if a recruit feels like they are going through stress and that stress card is not there, what do you suggest happens to the recruit?
Not everybody's built for the military. If you can't handle the stress in this environment of just a training environment, then they would find a way and they would do the paperwork and they would check you out, basically kick you out of the military.
What about what some of the folks in the comments are saying? One of the viewers said that they did that to cut down on suicides. What about the fact that some folks, the stress could have led to... I mean, did you see the movie? What is the movie with Gunny Ermey in it? For back in the day, yeah, where the guy actually did take his life. I mean, because he was really high stress on that kid. He was really high stress on him, and he ended up taking his life.
And again, that goes back to an even further back where it was even harder. And again, like I was saying, basic is meant to be hard. It's supposed to be hard. Not everyone's built for it. There is, like even when I went through, we didn't have the stress cards or anything, but they would have, if you really felt you didn't want to be in or anymore, or couldn't handle it anymore, you could do what they call refuse to train.
Yeah. Now,
at that point, yes, you had signed the dotted line, but they would sit you out, and then that would be the start of the process of them doing the chapter paperwork and getting you kicked out.
Okay, well, let me just say this, and I do want to say thank you for your service. I'm not military, but while we're talking about stress cards, I got folks in the comments that are military that are saying that this whole stress card thing is non-existent and it's a myth. Some folks are saying this is not real.
From things that I've heard from recruits, now I don't know on other branches, but the Army had them for a while, and it wasn't every post. It wasn't every basic training post. It was, I don't know if it was a test case or something, but I have talked to people that actually had stress cards.
Okay, and I see Top Dog in the comments is also saying he's lying, no such thing. So I've never heard of it until Trump and Pete Hegseth started talking about this, but you said you have heard of it, that people could offer a stress card and all of a sudden they would be allowed to skip duties. Is that how it worked?
They'd be set off to the side for however many minutes till they were able to calm down and get themselves back into a frame of mind that they felt that they could be trained.
Either of the two left blades.
You know something? I will just say, I'll say this because I'm going to plead ignorance on the subject. I don't know. But what about what I was mentioning during the monologue is that the military of today, you're not in the same sorts of environments where you need to be as hardened as maybe you were during Vietnam or some of the wars before that, because a lot of this stuff now is using equipment versus actually, you know, you're not dealing with hand-to-hand combat with the enemy, for instance.
You would actually be surprised on how close combat becomes. I was 11 Charlie, I was an infantry mortarman, did 1 tour in Iraq, 2 in Afghanistan. We would have firefights that were within blocks. We were going in, clearing houses, and there would be firefights within a room. So there are situations where that happens. The warfare that we're fighting, have been fighting for the last few decades is more of an urban warfare compared to a jungle warfare like Vietnam, Korea, and all that.
Okay.
So it's more of an urbanized, so you are closer with the enemy.
Okay, let me ask you this, because I normally only bring up one guest at a time, but I have someone else that's also military that would like to join this conversation. Do you mind another viewer coming up?
Not at all.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
All right.
Sure.
Top Dog, I'm gonna bring Top Dog up. He's also military. Now, Top Dog, are you also agree with what he's saying about these stress cards?
I totally disagree, Tim. I was in from 2003 to 2010.
So you're in for 7 years, okay? And you never seen or heard about stress cards?
I never heard of no stress cards, Tim. Never seen them, never heard about them.
What branch?
Which, like I was saying, we didn't hear about the stress cards until after like almost 2017, 2015, that time frame. And not sure if it was everything branch, because I was Army. I'm guessing the Marine. I don't know if every branch had them. I just know that we had guys coming out of basic in later 2010s, like 2015, 2016, and they were even telling us about the stress cards. Even in my National Guard unit, when I was in there back in the beginning of 2020, they were telling us about the stress cards.
Well, just like he said, Tim, he heard. He didn't see it, he heard. So, you know, he heard that he seen some stress cards. He never seen them himself. Nobody I know. When I was in, we heard about them, Tim, but that never happened.
Yeah. So in other words, it could be some sort of something to play on your masculinity. It could be said, oh, your ass gonna need a stress card, but it might not be something that's
Right. I never even heard. That was just something that the soldiers talked about, the people in boot camp talked about, but we never seen it. I never heard the leadership talk about anything like that.
Yeah. And that's what I said during the monologue. I wish that Hegseth or Trump could provide an actual example of this stuff, as opposed to just like with the woke and DEI stuff. Provide an example of somebody who got in, was not qualified, and fucked up on something, as opposed to just yelling it out.
Well, and one of the other things going along with the whole LGBTQ, one of the things especially if you're a trans soldier, depending on what process in the transition you're at,
right,
you need to take specific hormones and all that. And if you don't take them, there are certain side effects. And so along with that, being in a combat situation, you're not always going to be able to have those medications readily available. And so there's those complications.
That's a decent argument.
On top of that, that's a decent argument.
I agree with that, Tim. I agree with that. I agree with that.
That's a decent argument. But the thing is, how many transgender people are even in the military, though?
Well, not very many. But that's the other
point. Not like that, yeah.
Then you go back, again, you have a lot of what we would call old school soldiers. And especially in the infantry and those combat arms, they may not appreciate someone being the transgender, not saying it's right or wrong, but the old school mentality, if you didn't get along, you knew it. Well,
yeah, I get your point there, big country. I mean, I'm old school mentality is basically homophobic. I mean, we grew up in the same way, so old school mentality, it ain't just trans. They're not gonna like you if you're gay or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Which one of the things I always said, even today, I don't care what you claim to be, who like gay, straight, trans, whatever. You do what you're gonna do in your own personal life. But if it's gonna end up affecting possibility of my own safety or the safety of the brothers next to me, then there becomes a problem.
Is there any way imaginable how somebody gay in the military could affect you, though?
Well, again, going back to if they're not getting the proper medications.
No, I didn't say trans. You don't need medication if you're gay. You talking about trans? I said gay.
Oh, not really. But again, that's why I said what's in your personal life is fine, as long as it doesn't affect your job, and I can feel safe that you have my back. Go right ahead. want to also address something you said about how strong someone has to be. Hegseth said it even in the speech. A rucksack doesn't care how strong or how weak you are. It doesn't care about your gender. I've been on patrols where I carried a 150-pound rucksack, carrying all my ammunition for my 60mm mortar, 240 rounds, and then your basic combat load. So they want these soldiers nowadays. Like I always had a problem with height and weight. I was always a big guy.
Okay.
They wanted someone for me at 6 foot tall to weigh 180 pounds. I weighed 180 pounds in like middle school. So my whole military career, I was always around the 230-pound mark.
Okay.
I've always been big. And trying to put a 150-pound rucksack on top of 40 or 50 pounds of gear with body armor and ammo onto a frame of a 145-pound person, it doesn't really work. So the combat arms definitely needs to have that physical standard be higher.
Here's what I don't get, because we know that the food and things that they serve in this country, we're just naturally making. You're not paying the military. You're not paying military personnel any more than you. But you're this higher demand. I don't see how it's not going to lead to just simply put less people being in the military.
Well, Tim, well, first off, when he said something about, Hegseth about putting his hands on, the soldiers and basic training, that ain't gonna fly, Tim. Well, that ain't gonna fly.
What do you mean?
I don't think that's gonna fly. Maybe if you was somebody put their hands on you, Tim.
No.
And when I was in basic training, your drill sergeant to get in your face and talk real crazy to you, but they put their hands on you. But for a recruit to come in for another man or another man put their hands on, I just don't see that being. I don't see it being nothing positive about it.
But they did. But he is right. They did used to do that though.
Yeah, like you said, used to.
Yeah.
Used to.
Again, when I went through, there was especially one range that they even told, our drill sergeants told us that if you don't listen to the rules, they're going to put hands on you. That was the grenade range. Because you're throwing live grenades and you're throwing it from behind a concrete wall. And if you stand there and try and watch where your grenade goes, they told us right from the beginning they're going to put their hands on you and drop you. Other than that one situation where that kid yelled at the drill sergeant, in my cycle, that was the only time a drill sergeant put his hands on somebody. So it's not something that they're going to do or want to do. It's in situations that need to be done.
Yeah, but what about what?
Well, yeah, if you're at a firing range and you're putting somebody in danger or yourself, yeah, I'm going to pull you to the ground or push you out the way or slam you to the ground or whatever I need. I mean, that's different. But if we in basic training, I'm not marching the way you want me to march. You think you're going to come up to anybody and actually put your hands on them. I don't see that going a good way.
And I agree 100% with that. I don't think that was the intention of what was behind Hegseth saying that. I think it was more in those instances where it's the actual combat training or something like that where they need a little extra emphasis on their points.
Yeah, I tend to agree with what Top Dog said, because a lot of these kids go to the military as a last resort, to stay off of the streets and stay out of getting out of trouble. And yeah, I don't think they're going to let another man put their hands on them when they go in there like that.
Well, Tim, I just put myself in that situation. I was young, 18, hothead, and I just don't see nobody putting their hands on me, and I'm just taking them. I just don't see that. I'm gonna resist.
Yeah. So I tend to think the same thing, but maybe the Trump administration got some additional punishment or discipline in store if you do that. Who knows?
Like I said, besides that one situation and also the range, I never had a drill sergeant put a hand on anybody. It's just a hypothetical situation. Would you rather have your kid go into basic and go into the military and be ready for a possibility of something coming out with a hand-to-hand going in, clearing a building or something, with the enemy being the first time going hand-to-hand, or have it dealt with in basic, because again, they teach combatives in basic training. So that could be another place where a drill sergeant puts his hand on it.
Well, that's totally different. That's totally different. If we in combatives and we're training, that's different. What I'm saying is, if you're trying to put discipline into me, and your discipline is you putting your hands on me, I just don't see that flying.
Right, and I agree with that. Like I said, I agree with that, and I never saw a drill sergeant outside of those situations. So what I'm saying is, I see what Hegseth is saying. In those extreme cases, the drill sergeants don't have to worry about having that ability. Not saying that a drill sergeant is immediately going to go to hands-on.
It depends on the sergeant. You start giving people extra power. It's going to depend on them. I got to move it on, but I tend to wonder if this isn't going to backfire. I mean, I tend to wonder if it's not going to make less people want to join, because you're making it tougher, but you're not making it more lucrative for people to join.
And let me just say this, Tim, about that Hegseth meeting real quick, and I'll get off. First off, Hegseth, those generals been in 20, 30, 40 years, some of those generals. They looking at, they hear Hegseth up there talking to him, but they don't want to hear that shit from him. They don't respect him like that. He came from the Fox News and got a DEI seat up there as a leader. This guy's been in 30, 40 years, and you served 5, 6, 7 years. You think we got some real respect for you. We hear you. We're going to show respect, but we don't respect you like that.
Yeah, that reminds me of the scene in A Few Good Men when Jack Nicholson gets ready to run up out of the courtroom like, I don't even know what kind of outfit you're running here. I'm out of here, before they arrested him. But he was the same way, like, I don't even know why I'm here listening to this bullshit. That remind me of that scene when you got somebody with that type of rank. Like, what the hell am I listening to? I gotta wrap it up. Go ahead, Big Country. I'll give you the last word. Thank you, Top Dog. Thank you.
Just kind of going off that, and you have a good one, Big Dog. What you said about that scene, who in the end actually won that conversation? The old dog or the young buck?
No, Tom Cruise, he won the scene. Right, he did win.
And so, I mean, sometimes, yes, experience and all that has its place, but sometimes youth will prevail.
Fair enough. I just have a hard time seeing somebody like Pete Hegseth talking about DEI to a whole bunch of people that are way more qualified than him. He just does not make a good messenger, is all I'm saying.
Everyone has their own opinions, Tim.
They're like assholes. Thank you, Big Country. Come on back anytime, man. All right, moving on.
Thank you.
Anytime. Moving on to the program. I haven't asked you guys to do this, but tap the screen. Certainly on. Get your guy on up to 20,000. We can certainly make that happen. Michael says the law won. Yeah, the law won. I don't know if what Pete Hegseth is doing is not the law. He's just changing the rules to some degree. He is way better than the last guy. What do you mean by that, Al Moore? He's not qualified for his job. I don't care how smart he is. Yeah, I don't see how Hegseth is qualified for that. Maybe I'm missing something, not being military, but I do not personally see how Pete Hegseth is qualified for that position. I just don't. I've gotten arguments with liberals because I do believe that there are members of the Trump administration that are qualified. Marco Rubio's qualified for what he's doing. I believe that Kristi Noem is qualified for Homeland Secretary. I believe that Tom Homan is ultra qualified. Bobby Kennedy, not so much. So I don't believe that Pete Hegseth is qualified for what he's doing. I just think he looks the part. I really believe that's why President Trump put him in there, is he, quote unquote, looks the part. I mean, Trump is not military either. So Trump saw him on Fox, defending the military, sounding real patriotic. He does have a military career, and that was probably enough for Trump. Not to mention he's also a loyalist. But he does not have the qualifications to be where he's at, in my humble opinion. He looks like a foxhole, says A King. Well, he was. Hegseth over a black man that has been in the military for 40 years. Wasn't he a full bird? I don't know. Was he a full bird, Colonel? General? I think so. I think so, but like I said, before I go to the next caller, and by the way, tap the screen, get me on up to 20,000. I do wish, and I said this earlier when it was a smaller audience, but I do really wish that the Trump administration, while they're pointing out all this woke and DEI stuff, I really wish they had a Lincoln Riley example. I wish they had an example like with Lincoln Riley. We can show why we need to secure the border. The border is open. Here is an immigrant that came in here and killed an innocent woman. That's why we need to secure the border. If you had some pilot that never should have been a pilot, but he got the job because he was black or a woman or LGBTQ, and then he went out and crashed during an air show and killed a bunch of people, that'd be a good example. I don't like the fact that they keep talking about woke and DEI and all of this shit, and there's not a single example of anybody that's unqualified. Nope. Where if there's so many folks making it to these positions that are DEI and unqualified, where are all the fuck ups? Where are the ones that got it wrong and fucked up something? You're not pointing out anybody. You're just yelling out DEI and woke. Give us some actual examples of people who got into positions, did not deserve to be there, and they fucked something up. Not one name. They're constantly yelling this out. So something does not look right about that, at least in my humble opinion. Paul said it should be obvious. What part should be obvious, Paul? And by the way, we're going to also talk about what you see on the screen behind me. There is a government shutdown officially taking place in about 2.5 hours or something like that. And I want to ask you folks, who's responsible? Once the shutdown kicks in, people are not getting paid. Parks are being closed. Trump is threatening to fire people. Who is responsible for the government being shut down, in your humble opinion? Who does the blame rightfully belong to? We're going to talk about that. I see the comments. Ronald Reed said it's racist, period. You're saying that the DEI claims and all of that is just racist, huh? Tap the screen. Get us up to 20,000 so I can take the next caller. If your own mom says you're not a good person, I believe her, says A. King. You know, the funny thing is, when Tyler Robinson, the guy who took the life of Charlie Kirk, when folks, the liberals were saying that Tyler Robinson was no radical leftist, like Trump was saying the guy who took out Charlie Kirk was not a radical leftist, people were pointing to, well, his mom said he's a leftist. His family said he started talking left-wing ideology. But you make a good point, because when Pete Hegseth was trying to get appointed, they didn't give a damn what Pete Hegseth's mom was saying about him. And by the way, Bobby Kennedy's whole family thought he was a piece of shit. So all of a sudden, when it came to Tyler Robinson, it now mattered. But when it came to Bobby Kennedy and Pete Hegseth, and by the way, Trump too. Trump got family members that have said bad things about him. Nobody cared about the family. The church should be held responsible for the shutdown. The church? How should the church be held responsible? And Voodoo Diecast, Pete Hegseth's mom said some pretty bad things about him. She tried to backtrack, and we played the videos on the program before during the time when they were trying to appoint him. We talked about it, but his own mom basically said he was a womanizer and was terrible with women. But I feel the Democrats are holding out for the right reason. So you're saying that Democrats are responsible for the shutdown, but you believe they're holding out for the right reason, leading to the obvious question: what is the right reason? Why? Let me just ask you folks, by the way, do you believe the Democrats, and I don't believe there's anything that the Trump administration is offering the Democrats to comply with keeping the government open. But even though the Democrats are not being offered anything, if they push back, they are causing the whole government to shut down. They're doing their part in it. So what I want to ask you folks is this: should the Democrats, for the sake of keeping the country functioning, cave in or cave to the Trump administration, or should they stand their ground and demand something for them out of what they're trying to pass to keep the government open? Because those are the only two options. The Trump administration is not offering the Democrats anything they're asking for. So they have two options. To keep the government open, they can just cave to the Trump administration and follow them, getting nothing out of it, or they can keep pushing for their own beliefs, what they are fighting for, and until they get it, the government stays down. So stand your ground or cave. Which one do you think the Democrats should do? Stand their ground or cave? See, some folks say stand ground. When I was in the Marine Corps back in 2003, we rarely had a fat body. Well, there's a couple things there. Are we at 20,000 so we can take the next caller? Tap the damn screen if you're watching on TikTok. It's certainly enough for you to make that happen. Let your thumbs not be lazy. The fact is, people in America are just getting fucking fatter. I mean, it's what's in our food. We're a far more technological society. We don't do as much exercise. If the military starts demanding folks that are as fit as they were in generations past, they're just not going to make their numbers. It's just not as many people to choose from. And the military, as I was telling my last two callers, what the military is offering is not as lucrative as it used to be. Serving in the military and getting out used to take you a lot further than it does now. College is comparable now. If you go to college and get a 4-year degree, you pretty much are just as good as somebody who did a few years in the military, maybe even further along, because a lot of military people come out, then they go to college. So if they don't make joining the military more lucrative, it might not be worth these folks going out and getting on a diet, getting fit enough to join. So I don't know. I think if they start getting real strict with their entrance policies, they're going to probably find that they're coming up short on the number of people that they're getting to enlist. They're not offering anything to get stricter. Go to college and have 60 years of debt. What college did you go to that you're coming up with 60 years of debt? Wow. College is not worth it. College is not worth it. Usually the military is yeah. But you don't die going to college. You're not gonna want to leave college and they tell you can't get out just yet. I mean, there are some pros and cons to it. I mean, so I still think that if they get strict, they're gonna end up reducing the amount of folks that are enlisting. But we'll keep the program moving with Mike. Good evening, welcome to the program, Mike. Honestly, most of the ex-military I know are kind of screwed up as a result, says Ronald. Damn. Mike, good evening.
What's going on, Tim?
Nothing at all, man. Good to have you on this evening. So we talk about the government shutdown too. Now, we can get around to the whole, what Pete Hegseth had to say about the military and things like that. But what about the Democrats participating in what is amounting to a government shutdown? Are the Democrats looking wrong and responsible on this?
Before I answer that, tap the screen, share the live. Let's
Thank
get
you.
them up to about 50,000. We can get to 50,000, 146 people in here. We can get to that, and to the two gentlemen that were on your panel. Much respect.
Right.
Thank you for your service and the conversation. I thought that was really good. Now, to answer your question, fuck no. I don't think the Democrats should do anything. They're not offering. Listen, Tim, here's the one thing that the Republicans have been doing since 2016. They don't offer anything. They don't negotiate on either they want it all or nothing. Mitch McConnell set that precedence when Obama was in office, and they've been doing it ever since. Even now, here's the last time this came up with the government shutdown, Schumer caved, got his ass chewed out for it, right? And they still gave nothing.
Wow.
And the Republicans don't give, and the reason he did it, I want everybody to remember, the reason Schumer did it is because had the government shut down then, Trump would have had full license to terminate as many as he wanted to. Legally.
Well, he's threatening to terminate and fire a lot of people now.
Right. But right now, see, here's the thing. There were some Affordable Care Act money that was going to be cut out of this funding. Yeah. Right. And so they're like, no, we're not going to do that. And you're right, Jeremy. I'm not going to say it's never Democrats' fault, but I'm saying this, Jeremy. Jeremy's in the comments. You have to admit that the Republicans have not played any negotiations. It's all or nothing with them.
I will add something onto it. The unique factor of President Trump, because we know if the Democrats cave and work with Trump is going to take all the credit for keeping the government open while still talking about crazy radical leftists and attacking him. So there really is no incentive for the Democrats to work with Trump. He's not going to give you credit. He's going to continue attacking you throughout. I just don't see any incentive to do it.
I mean, well, who would do that, Tim? I mean, people that need to understand. You're 100% right. He just called him. He hates Democrats and all of this, and then when they come to the table to negotiate, no, this is the deal. Take it or leave it. So they're going leave it. And he's going, well, it's on them. J.D. Vance is running around lying. Trump's running around lying. This is on them. This is terrible. Because on the heels of it, depending on how long this shutdown is, you have the big, beautiful bill coming on board in next month, right? October, right?
Yep.
So you're going to have some elements of the big, beautiful bill that are going to kick in. Hopefully, we're still not the government, because the last government shutdown, which was on Trump's watch, was 35 days. Right?
Yeah, that's going to feel like a long time in this environment where Trump is on TV every damn day talking shit. That 35 days will seem like forever.
It's going to seem like forever with the current economy, and consumer confidence is already at it hasn't been this low since 2020. This is the second time it's been that low in these last 9 months. So you got consumer confidence, you got tariffs, you got inflation, you got terrible job numbers right now, and now you're gonna have a government shutdown.
Appreciate that, Jace. Thank you for that money gun, by the way.
You're gonna terminate all of these federal workers.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's interesting you brought that up, because Trump is saying that he may permanently fire some of these folks. My humble opinion, maybe I'm wrong for saying this, but to me it sounds like you really want to fire them anyway, because normally when there's a government shutdown, people have to work for free for a while, things like that, but they don't get fired. That's something you're doing extra on. It sounds like you were just looking for an excuse to fire people, which you kind of been known for since you became president again.
100%, Tim. He been trying to fire. They were trying to do it through Doge, if you remember.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, a lot of those went to court, and then they appealed them. So people had their jobs. They've been working or getting paid while at home. Some of them had just returned to work.
Yeah.
Like I think last week or something, right?
I guess the thing is he wants to fire a bunch of people and then be able to say, well, the Democrats are the reason you lost your job. So he's using them kind of as pawns to make the Democrats look bad.
Well, because he knows that his followers don't think past their fucking nose, and they're jerking him off so much they're not paying attention. They're gonna follow. Tim, you'll be having a live next week, and the same Trump supporters are gonna come up here and try to make excuses for this fucking bullshit. It's not gonna change. It's not gonna change. They're gonna continue to do it until they hit the proverbial light switch. Like turn off the whole light switch on the country. And let's keep in mind, I don't know if you're ready to pivot. That shit him and Pete Hennessy Hegseth did today, that was the most deplorable shit I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, but you heard my first guest. He favors it. He said the military needs to harden up somewhat.
And again, you can listen. There's ways to harden. There's ways to make changes. But the messaging to get there is very important. And exactly what they said to, and how I don't believe that those 833 generals sitting there, I don't believe that most of them were on board with that shit, because like your one caller said, they're watching him, looking at him like, motherfucker, I've been doing this. I don't even know if your ass was born. You may have still been in fucking high school. And you want to sit up here in your nice suit and tell us, and then body shaming. And again, I'm not that. Listen, at the end of the day, the president is coming up there talking about motherfuckers fat.
Yeah, to me, Pete Hegseth did to those generals exactly what Trump did to the UN the other day. Just went up there and made them all look like shit. Like you ain't doing your job, you're overweight. I mean, that's how Trump treated the UN the other day.
Yep. But here's the thing. They're having that meeting. This is how disingenuous these motherfuckers are. They're sitting up there having this conversation. Have you heard them come out and mention anything about the incident in Michigan and the incident in North Carolina? Have you heard anything? Have you heard the news?
Thoughts and prayers. You already know what the tradition is. Thoughts and prayers. I mean, you know, anytime there's a mass shooting, thoughts and prayers.
I know, and it's so funny. And you know, I try to stay out of the comments. I don't really, but when they're saying in the comments, give the caller some tissues and body shape.
I saw that.
I know. But Tim, here's the point that they're missing. Here's the point. Now, if either one of them have a job, and if they've ever worked for somebody, and if you tell me that you wouldn't, you're full of shit. If you're working for somebody that you know you're more qualified than, and they approach you in a manner that's disrespectful to the job that you've been doing, You can't tell me you wouldn't have a problem with that. But the DEI hire is talking to these men that have served this country for how long now?
Probably most of his life.
And they know he's not qualified.
Yeah. To me, that to me, it's almost like you got a union shop employee that has been working, he's been welding or he's carpentry or whatever the case may be for, 25, 30 years. And here's some kid straight out of high school or straight out of college, rather, is now the foreman and telling them what to do. And he's looking like, I've been building houses before when you were in diapers. And like all of a sudden, that to me is Pete Hegseth on stage talking to these generals with all of the combat experience they got. You've been on the news. You've been on the news telling viewers what we were actually doing in those countries. So I do agree that to me Hegseth comes across as hardcore DEI.
Right. Well, and I'm gonna further your example to these to these bitch asses in the comments when I said body shape. So now you're gonna tell that 30-year plumber who's got a little plumber gun, he's in his 50s, you're gonna walk by and slap him on the ass and say you need to lose some weight.
Yeah.
How's that going to go over, Tim? How's that going to go over? Huh? Do you think that man is going to look at you? Now, because I use the word body shaming, you guys kind of, but the bottom line is, you think that plumber's going to take kind to that shit?
No. And that's what I said.
And then to top it off, because somebody just reminded me in the comments, thank you, we're going to use inner cities as training grounds?
Yeah, what about that?
What the fuck did that mean? So now we're talking about putting soldiers. Like, listen, I've been on your show. I'm not gonna stay longer. I've been on your show. I've been talking about this 14 tenets of fascism since I met you. You can't tell me that this shit doesn't fall along the lines of fascism. You're talking about using American cities as training ground for our military. Now, what training are we talking about?
Let me just say it this way. I am dying to talk to some MAGA. I want to hear from some Trump supporters tonight because I do want to hear their opinion. I mean, obviously the liberals ain't going to like shit that Trump and Hegseth had to say, but I'm dying to talk to some MAGA, certainly about the part you're bringing up about using the military giving the military training in dangerous American cities. I'm dying to hear somebody explain the right, the conservative side of that, because that does sound really concerning.
Man, listen, it is exactly what they're saying. Now, I'm gonna be listening. I'm gonna drop down. If you bring one up, if you want to bring me back up, that's cool. But at the end of the day, they are playing their Project 2025 playbook to a T, to a fucking T. And everything that we've been saying, they're showing us in real time that this shit is real. And now the people that say they're not concerned one bit, either you support it, either you are it, you support it, or you're shit. Either way.
I got another avenue. I'll go ahead and drop you, but I think it's another avenue you didn't say. Either you support it, you are it. There's one more avenue. I'll discuss it on the other side. But Mike, I may have to bring you back. Appreciate you coming up.
I'll be around.
All right, bro. Okay. All right, thank you. And what the other avenue is this. You notice Trump is talking about sending to give them training in liberal cities, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York. MAGA doesn't have a problem with this because he's not talking about doing it in MAGA areas. That's probably what it is. You can do anything you want as long as you're doing it to other people. People are going to be okay no matter how harsh it is. It ain't happening to me. A whole lot of people that are experiencing some of the things that they don't like that Trump is doing or the Trump administration is doing, they're crying out because they didn't expect it to happen to them. Whether it's the deportations and all of a sudden Venezuelans are like, you weren't supposed to take away our temporary protected status. So I do believe that may have something to do with it. When Trump says I'm going to do it in liberal states, yeah, nobody in Alabama is going to have a problem with that. Because he's not talking about doing it to us. He's talking about doing it to them over there. But I don't think they want Huntsville, Alabama being used as a training ground for soldiers. You can use Chicago. Yeah, you can use Chicago. That shit's 1,000 miles away. I'm not worried about that. Don't use this city in my backyard, though. So I do believe that has a lot to do with it. Some of the soldiers might be from those cities. That could be a real conflict of interest there. Speaking of which, and I will go back to the bots shortly, but yeah, certainly if you're from a city and they're requiring you to do stuff like that in your hometown or a town you got family in, it could be problematic.
The Democrats run most of the cities that are in bad shape. We have many cities in great shape too, by the way. I want you to know that. But it seems that the ones that are run by the radical left Democrats, what they've done to San Francisco, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, they're very unsafe places, and we're going to straighten them out one by one. And this is going to be a major part for some of the people in this room. That's a war too. It's a war from within. Controlling the physical territory of our border is essential to national security. We can't let these people in. But we're running it based on common sense and based on love of our country. But I want to salute every service member who has helped us carry out this critical mission. It's really a very important mission. And I told Pete, we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military.
The question is, what type of training? We should use some of these dangerous cities as training ground for our military. What type of training are they going to do in the dangerous cities? That's where the biggest concern is. I would love to know what that is. Someone in the comments said, oh, so you don't want our military, Jeremiah Brown says, so you don't want military training. No, I want military training. I want them to know how to fire weapons, fire mortars and artillery shells. I don't want them doing it in Philadelphia. So what are you getting at? I want them to learn how to throw grenades. I don't want you doing it in D.C., so I don't know where you're going with that. But yeah, you can get training, just don't do it on American citizens. That's the problem that we're trying to figure out. But anyway, tap the screen. By the way, help your boy get some of those. We got a Had Mustache Go. Show some love to the program, if you will. Help us out with that goal there. He looks slightly smaller than 237. Are you saying that Trump looks smaller than 237 pounds? Trump probably lost like 10 pounds. You're saying, Sean, you said that Trump probably lost like 10 pounds since he first took office. I don't know, does he look smaller? Because he's often behind the desk. So, and by the way, thank you, C. Osby, helping your boy out with the goal there. I don't know, because a lot of his interviews now are being done from behind the desk. So I don't know if he's looking smaller or not. And same to you, Miss Mo Abetta. Some of the soldiers might be from those cities. I saw that tomorrow. Miss Mobetta, good evening.
See, here's the thing, Trump. Excuse me.
You can promote me to president. I'll be president for one night.
Yeah. See, here's the thing. You have Pete Hegseth with his drunk ass standing up there talking down to these decorated
generals.
Officers,
yeah,
as if they had not earned their positions, number one, talking to them like they're kindergartners.
Well, I don't know if he was doing that. I don't know if he was talking to them like they didn't earn it.
Shit, Tim. You listen to the same speech we all listen, and that shit that came out of his mouth was deplorable. He talked to them as if they were some for lack of a better word, like they were children. Like they were children. Y'all gonna sit here. We don't want y'all complaining. Now that was the most disturbing part of his speech when he said we don't want no anonymous complaints, no repeat complaints and stuff. You know how many women that were unalive, that were sexually abused and all of that stuff in the military and nothing happened? What the fuck do you think is gonna happen from this point on?
That's a good point. I didn't think of it from that aspect. But
what do you think is gonna happen? It's disgusting that first of all you got people that hasn't served a day and they're fucking like trying to tell the people that's been there for 40 years what to do.
What I didn't like it when Trump said something to the notion of if you don't like it, you can get up and walk out. It'll cost you your whole career, but you can get up and walk out. To me, that just that fit what you said. It sounded awful. Yeah,
it's awful. It is awful. It's disrespectful. And that's why when Cal said that the other people in other countries are afraid, they're not. They're watching everything that is happening, going on here. So we don't have to do shit to America. They're doing it to themselves. Now, watch what's going to happen with this shutdown with people. A lot more people going to be out of work. They're not going to have anywhere to turn to get any kind of resources because they stopping all of that shit too.
Well, let me ask you this now. Well, let me ask you this. While you have a passionate passionate pushback against Trump, tech support in the comments said that the president just joked about using American cities to train troops, but you're in here complaining about the caller. What the fuck? So in other words, he wasn't serious about this. He was just joking.
They always say that wasn't serious. They said he didn't know shit about Project 2025, but it's enacted. They say that he don't mean a lot of shit that he says, but he moves shit forward.
Yeah, I don't see how that's something to joke about either.
It's not a joke. It's not a joke. You don't get up on a national TV and say no joke about treating people that you already said you hate. Because all he's mentioning is cities and shit that are mostly Democratic cities, and he said he hates his opponent. He considers Democrats his opponent. He said this out of his mouth, people. We're not making this shit up to talk about we're crying. We heard it. You're dumb enough to fall for his stupid shit. That's why I call MAGA mush.
Yeah, and I will say that when folks say that Trump is joking about a lot of this stuff, you notice when he tells these jokes, nobody is laughing. I mean, you got a whole room full of people, not one chuckle in there. So nobody viewed that as a joke.
Because it wasn't a joke. They see the same disrespect that we saw. It's disrespectful. They want that to be a whitewashed white American fake ass Christian military.
And the comments.
And so, do you know what's going to happen in those ranks? They're going to start bringing back the draft and all kind of other shit because the numbers are going to start dropping. The numbers for enrollment for the military will start dropping. So now they're going to start introducing the draft and all kind of other shit. This is how he's going to get his dictatorship in order.
I don't want to go as far as agreeing with you on the draft, but I do believe
you don't have to, but I stand on my word.
And that's fine, because I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I'm not confident you're right, but I do believe you're right when you say if they get strict like this, they're going to reduce the enrollment numbers. I mean, I absolutely can see that.
You are dealing with a whole different demographic of people, of kids. You know what I'm saying? They're not like it used to be. Now they have all kind of different sources and influences that say, I'm not taking this shit from you.
But
because first of all,
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this though. So what is the angle? Like for instance, J Rock in the comments says Trump knows the shaving rule. You know, they got this rule where if you're subject to razor bumps and you need some kind of medical deferment from shaving, they kick you out. Do you see any inclination that Trump is trying to whiten up the military? Like, you know, make it so that it's mostly white? Because people are saying that.
Yep. You know why? Because when they get up there, they eat DEI to black and brown people. They DEI to them is black and brown. It doesn't have nothing to do with handicaps or anything like that. That to them, that's black and brown people. What does that say to you? What does that say to you? And not only that, then you're talking shit to all the generals, calling them fat and all kinds of shit. What I smell is defiant from them within their positions. Because they took an oath to protect the Constitution, not the man.
I got a tough one for you. I want you to give me your take on it. You know, you always bring out the crazies in my callers, but
of course, I'm with the shits tonight.
All right, fair enough. This viewer has an interesting name. I like his name, and the name is Dems Tears Taste Great. So Democrat Tears Taste Great. He says, "Why cry when half the country is a hood worse than my Iraq deployments?" What say you?
Yeah, coming from people who shooting Charlie Kirk at the school. Is that who they're talking about? Or the one who just ran into the church? That man who just ran into the church and unalived those people in the church and then set the church on fire. Is that the hood that he's talking about?
I don't think so.
Tell him to let go of the nipple. Tell him to let go of the nipple.
Yeah, I don't think he was expecting you to. That was an interesting comeback. I don't think he was prepared for that. So, but I knew I don't see half the country being a hood. I don't know where. To me, it sounds like Trump has a case of.
What the fuck is he talking? Some people should just exercise their right to remain silent. That's it. Exercise that right. You have the right to remain silent, especially when you come up and say dumb shit. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I remember my late grandfather once telling me sometimes it's better to keep your mouth closed and let people think you're an idiot than to speak up and remove all doubt. So I don't know if that's what you're getting at, but that's what it sounds like. But training on
whoever you are, shut your ass up. Shut your ugly ass up, goofy. Fuck out of here.
But what about
and Jeremy, we don't want to hear from you either. You ain't got shit to talk about.
But what about the claim, though, that the military of today, they're a weaker, fatter bunch that need to toughen up? That's what Hegseth is saying.
Well, you know, it's a bunch of word salad with the Trump and his regime. He throw out all kind of woke is a problem. They was eating cats and dogs. They come up with all kind of words. They demonize all kind of words that really holds no significance. So,
let me ask you this, because I'm not quite certain of this, and I hear the term a lot. Maybe let me get your take on it, and I'm gonna probably end up asking a few more callers as they come in. What exactly is the definition of woke in your opinion? What exactly is that?
Woke is being aware. That means, well, see, now they're the sleepies. They just pay attention. Being woke is just being aware of what's actually happened, because you had so many people that they weren't reading, they weren't researching, they weren't doing a lot of things. So now that the people are woke, you can't pin my ear and tell me it's raining. In a nutshell, that's what that means.
Do you think the Trump administration is going by that same definition?
Oh, they used to call Joe Biden sleepy. It's MAGA that's fucking sleepy. It's MAGA that's sleepy, because he get up there and tell one lie after another, and they buy right into that bullshit. They buy right into it. Come up with a term, and then they take it and run with it like it's gospel.
Yeah, and I'm just asking because I hear the term woke being thrown around so much, and the way the right uses it, just like what you stated, it ain't the way I was taught to believe what woke meant. I mean, they're using it in a totally different manner.
It's the total opposite of how they're using it. It's the total opposite. Right. First of all, their leader he's a non-leading piece of shit, and that's period. And that ain't something I heard. That's something I saw. He displays himself like a bottom of the barrel piece of shit. It's no longer funny.
You view Trump as a non-leading piece of shit. You put him that low?
I do. And the people that follow him and his whole DEI cabinet.
But you say the people that follow him, that's MAGA. You don't see MAGA as a...
They're too. They done adapted to that. They're in the cult. They adapted to all that bullshit he do. Now again, that's not even to say that both sides don't do fucked up shit. But in the history of this country, we've never seen it worse than it is now.
Are you? No, we had a civil war. We've had it worse.
It's worse now because they think it's okay. They think it's okay. Get the fuck out of here. Now you got people that actually fight back. Back in when the Civil War and shit was happening, you have people that couldn't do shit about it. So it makes it worse.
I do agree Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I do agree that there's more minorities that would fight back, but I don't think right now is the worst we've ever had it, though. I don't know if I agree with that. We've had depressions. Yeah, okay. We've had depressions. We had the race riots at the Martin Luther King.
Stay tuned. Once this shutdown and shit start happening, we gonna be on our way back to that depression. You got people that are working, that are struggling.
Timoteo in the comments says, "Go learn something, girl." He apparently doesn't think you know much.
Fuck up. And I'm a woman. Don't get it twisted. Just because you ain't never had one, don't get that shit twisted. Get your ass out of your mother's basement. Oh wow. Wait, trailers don't have basements. Get the fuck out of here.
All right, Miss Mobetta. Every time you come on it, you're in the trenches. They come at you pretty hard. But
listen, like when they go low, we go to hell. Let's go.
Damn.
Let's go.
That's the new Democratic motto. When they go low, we go to hell.
We go to hell. You have to meet a demon where he is. I'm sorry. And that's all they are. The fuck?
Shit.
Now, DEI that. Go scratch and sniff, you loser.
Yikes. All right, Miss Mo Better. Appreciate it. Thank you. And I think the hip hop artist Cardi B said something like that too. They asked her, how does she feel about Michelle Obama's when they go low, we go high? And she said, no, I believe when they go low, you go into the lava, you go into the pits of hell. She said something like that too. DEI that, I'm still in, sis. Yoruba man said, all right, by the way, tap the screen. A lot of lazy thumbs in here. Slow program tonight. Tap the screen, get the lights on up to about, try to get up to at least 50,000. We can make that happen, you folks. There's enough folks in here. We are MAGA friendly, regardless of the commentary you may hear. The program has been MAGA friendly from day one. It always will be MAGA friendly. MAGA are my preferred guests. I just don't get as many MAGA on the program. Nevertheless, when you do come up, you don't have to worry about or have any concern with being blocked, banned, or censored. We don't do that here. This program does not even have a moderator. We let the people speak without any concern of being censored. If you want to come up, come on over to Instagram or TikTok. You can't bring you up on YouTube. YouTube doesn't allow it, but if you're on Instagram or TikTok, same account name, The Handsome Liberal across all platforms, we'll bring you right up. Doesn't matter what your politics is. If you hear some shit you don't like, damn it, come on over and tell us about the shit you don't like. That's how it works here. We go left of Bernie Sanders to I'm having dinner with Q. Everybody gets to speak. L. Smith says, Tim, what is your position? Why do you support Trump? I don't support Trump on all of his issues. I support his stance on the border. I'm not, even though I consider myself an ally of the LGBTQ community, I favor keeping him out of women's sports like what he's doing. I mean, I don't hate everything he does, but I don't support Trump. I mean, I don't support the deliberate antagonizing. I'm not a fan of that. And I would not be a fan of it if a liberal was doing it. I don't believe you should just enjoy putting misery upon other people. That's not, like, anytime you hear somebody say Trump was just telling a joke, chances are that's something I don't enjoy. I think the president should run the country, not deliver jokes at somebody else's expense. I don't favor that. So there's things I agree with and things I don't agree with, but just simply antagonizing people and then acting shocked that people have TDS or acting shocked that there is political violence when you're walking around bragging that you're drinking liberal tears and saying fuck your feelings. I'm shocked that they would try to do that. I cannot believe that. That doesn't make any sense to me. That makes no sense to me. You were trying to piss them off, and now you're acting shocked that they're pissed off. That makes absolutely no sense. Anyway, look at in the comments, discuss the Georgia plant with the Koreans and how they were wrongfully detained and deported, causing international trade problems with Korea. I haven't heard that they were wrongfully detained and deported. I know that 400 and some odd folks at the plant. I am aware of what happened, but I'm not aware that they broke the law or did anything about it like that. Tell me about Biden, Harris, and Crockett. Well, Biden and Harris are irrelevant. Dems, Dem tears taste great. Bringing up Biden and Harris at this point, they're kind of irrelevant. So I don't know what you want to discuss on Biden and Harris. And Jasmine Crockett does push back, but Jasmine Crockett is a congresswoman that half the country may or may not even know. That she's not on the same level as the president of the United States. That's what MAGA does, brings up, oh shit. Sophia's page. Let me go back to the box. Help your boy get the hat and mustache go. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Tap the screen, get the lights on up to 50,000. We're talking about the government shutdown as well. And who is going to be to blame for it? Do you think the Democrats should cave to the Trump administration for the sake of keeping the country open? Because they're not getting anything. King Finn, thank you, appreciate that. Do you think the Democrats should cave to the Republicans? Because the Republicans are not giving them anything out of this. They're just simply demanding that they work with the Republicans. King Finn, by the way, thank you. Good evening.
What up, though? Hey, look, first of all, let me just be 100% real with you. Fuck no, the Democrats shouldn't cave. This whole thing is all about Trump being able to cut out the whole funding. Not a percentage, not a little bit, not millions. He wants to cut out the whole funding for the ACA, aka Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. That's what this is about. The other thing that this shit is about is the fact that they don't want to confirm that senator from Arizona. And I gotta send mad shots out to the LGBTQIA community because they already said they're gonna release Mike Johnson's Grindr profile and his IP address.
Oh damn! Really? Mike Johnson is in that?
Damn right. Mike Johnson, and I already told him your time is. You got till Wednesday to either confirm her or we're releasing the receipts. And they got receipts, and they talking about years.
Mike Johnson, what is this? Back then they didn't want me, now I'm gay, they all owe me. Mike Johnson, really? I didn't hear about that.
Yep, Mike Johnson. I sent you if you need to look in your message, bro. I sent that shit to you. Okay, so that's the other thing. The other thing that they want to do is because of course that senator is going to be the 218th vote for them to go ahead and have to fucking release them damn files. That's why this shit's happening, and they're not doing it because Trump told them not to. So are the Dems the reason that the government is going to be shut down? No, the Dems aren't. You idiot MAGA motherfuckers can stop saying that because maybe, just maybe, if you came to the table, because that's all the Democrats are asking for, is for the ACA to be left the fuck alone. Okay, so in the next hour. 10 o'clock?
Less than 2 hours. Less than 2 hours. I see. Greg on YouTube is saying that less than 2 hours. Greg Muse rather. Less than 2 hours is going down. Now, we don't want people to lose their jobs and people to suffer. So, but you don't think the Democrats should have taken that in consideration at all?
You know how many people are going to lose their health care? This is without the effect of the big beautiful bill that we're even talking about. Because we're not even addressing that yet. We're talking about the millions of dollars that fund the ACA. So grandma, grandpapa, and all you MAGA motherfuckers can get your teeth. Okay? That's what we're talking about.
But
not even the other part of it.
But what is the end goal of this, King? I mean, at the end of the day, the Democrats eventually are going to have to cave in, right? We don't want the government shut down for the next 3 fucking years, do we?
No, we don't. But what are we supposed to do? Every time the Democrats give in to something, we lose something else. So we're supposed to continuously play hide and go seek with this ignorant fucking toddler that's in the fucking White House. This garbage water ass administration and this garbage water ass following of MAGA. Because these motherfuckers garbage water. The water you get off the garbage after it done rain and in the bottom of your motherfucking garbage bin, that's what these motherfuckers is. You don't see that? Where's the Doge checks? Where's that money at? Where's all of this money that he's supposed to be saving us? Where's the money at?
I wish I could answer that. I really wish I could answer that.
In his homeboy's pockets.
Yeah, I wish I could answer that. When you heard how much money Elon was bragging, I had all kinds of conversations on here with MAGA, and I had more MAGA viewers when they were happy what Elon was doing, and I said the same thing. If we don't see any of that money, it's a moot point. I don't care if you save America $10 trillion. If it don't affect your life at all, you're still working 2 jobs and struggling to pay the rent, that it don't mean shit. I mean, and you're right. We were told we were going to get some kind of stimulus or some type of cash back check from all the money he was saving. I haven't heard anything about it since.
And what did I tell you the day he started doing that shit? You're not going to see a fucking cent of that money. Because that money is going into the top 1%'s fucking pocket. That's where it went to. That's where it's going to continue to go. And that's where every fucking thing he's doing is funneling into. Secondly, that garbage water piece of shit, him and Pete Hegseth with his Hennessy drinking ass, which I don't understand why the fuck why Hennessy would want to have anything to do with his drunk, fake toupee wearing ass. That motherfucker is completely disrespectful. And if I was one of them generals, I might would have walked the fuck out. I don't understand how this motherfucker can get up there and tell them that they fat. Are you fucking serious?
Well, Pete Hegseth is kind of fit. He ain't that big, is he?
I don't give a fuck. He can be as tiny as a motherfucker. He can be as tiny as a motherfucking G.I. Joe, but he ain't gonna go pop no motherfucking. He not going over there. He ain't going to go motherfucking pop nothing. He ain't there shit. He's just like Captain motherfucking Bones first, sitting in the motherfucking White House now, delaying motherfucking orders. He ain't doing shit. While the motherfuckers who was standing in the room with him listening to that garbage ass motherfucking speech both of them lazy some of the bitches gave. Hey, these motherfucking men done flew planes, done motherfucking occupied countries, done went and actually put boots on the motherfucking ground for this country. While you two lazy motherfuckers.
Wait a minute. Let's separate Pete Hegseth from Trump. Like Nicole says in the comments, Pete Hegseth did do his time. I see Peach Bayou was saying the same thing. Pete Hegseth did serve some tours. He did do his time.
And so did Mass Caravans. However, so we're talking about generals.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers who actually done put their motherfucking time in. Alright? They ain't get 4 or 5 years in the shit, wash out or leave after their first motherfucking tour. We talking about birds. We talking about real motherfucking commanders. Real motherfuckers who've been there for the longest. Who are career military people. Not motherfuckers who got a posting off a fucking fake ass orange motherfucker, okay? No.
How long was Hegseth? Any idea how long Hegseth was in? I'd be curious to know, but you're right. He's not going to compare to any general. I mean, some of them folks in the audience probably were in twice as long as he's been in, and they're still in. I do believe that his commentary or his speech to them kind of violates the whole notion of respect your elders, so to speak. The way he talked to them, he was kind of talking down to them. That's the way I interpreted it.
Of course, because he's a disrespectful motherfucker, just like Trump. Another disrespectful motherfucker. Captain Bonespur shouldn't be talking to the military because he ain't a military type motherfucker. He ain't never did no damn time. The only time he did was the time he ran away from the motherfucking draft office. That's it. And he probably didn't run with his fat ass.
Yeah, but the American people, by way of 77 million votes, they put Trump back in. That's who they wanted. You think they wanted Kamala Harris? No, they wanted Trump.
You know, my mom used to tell me, wish in one hand, shit in the other one. See which one fill up faster. What we should have did was elected somebody who knew how to fucking do their job. That's why the rest of the fucking world is laughing at us right now. For you ignorant MAGA motherfuckers who still believe Trump is so strong. He's such a strong man. He's an alpha man. He's an alpha male. That motherfucker, a fat Burger King, Big Mac eating motherfucking fool. Okay? Everybody is laughing at him. Just like when motherfucking Putin came over here, he got nothing but so motherfucking ass cheeks. Okay? He's so motherfucking strong, but he can't make Putin do shit. He's so motherfucking strong, but Netanyahu was laughing at his ass. Told him he should be awarded a Nobel Peace Prize. A war criminal put your ass up for a Nobel.
I don't know, King. I wouldn't rule out that Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, if he can get the, I'll say I wouldn't rule it out, but I wouldn't rule it in either. But I do believe he could possibly end up being responsible for the end of the Israeli, Palestinian war. I don't think he's going to end the Russian-Ukrainian war. I don't think that he's going to get any credit for ending that at all.
Can I tell you something, Tim?
Sure.
Can I tell you something, Tim? If you have bombed the fuck out of Gaza until they are literally riding around on fucking bulldozers, if the people in your cabinet are talking about calling up the Trump motherfucking administration to help them plan out rebuilding Gaza after you done blew that shit the fuck up, what is there to talk about? How is that ending? The ending is he's going to continue to do what the fuck he been doing already.
When I said I wouldn't rule out Trump getting the Nobel Peace Prize, I'm not necessarily saying I would say he deserves it. I'm just simply saying they may just give it to him because they're eager to get him to do something about these wars. But I agree with you, is that Netanyahu would never have been able to do all the damage he's done at the behest of the United States. Would Biden too, because they were saying Genocide Joe has got to go. But Trump as well, we are complacent in what has happened in Gaza. That would not have happened without the United States. Netanyahu has only done that because America has remained his only ally in that whole skirmish. So we're complacent in that.
There you go with that French shit, with that we shit, because I'm not complacent in that.
I mean,
that's fucked up.
Well, hold on. Here's what I'm going to say we. If you are pissed off at what has happened in Gaza and you want some revenge, America is just as good as Israel. because we are just as responsible for what is happening. I'm talking about people don't separate us from Trump or separate us from Biden. You are an American. Therefore, if your leader makes a fucked up decision, you make a target. You qualify. They can't get to Biden. They can't get to Trump. They might be able to get to you or me. So you make a legitimate target.
And I agree with that. This is exactly why Iran put that 40 mil on this motherfucker.
Yeah. So, and I believe that because we have been so complacent, if not assisting the Israelis the whole time, that we're just as good of a target. If you're pissed off at what Israel has done, America is just as good of a target as the Israelis are right now, because it couldn't have been done without our help.
I agree, 100%. He better start praying that there ain't no homegrown people over here from Israel, or excuse me, from Palestine that want to fuck him up. Because they're already here. There are plenty of people here. While he's talking about the southern border, motherfucker, you done flew everybody in from every fucking country, every side of the country.
Yeah, but they're not going to be able to get to Trump. What's going to happen is they would get you or me on the subway somewhere, or going to church, or going to the supermarket. They're not going to get Trump. Trump is safe.
They come for me, I'm gonna point their ass straight to his orange ass. go to his, go to 1600 Pennsylvania, baby. Get it.
Yeah, Trump is going to ride off into the sunset, a wealthy old man. He's going to die an old man with a bunch of money. But you and I may end up paying the price for some of that stuff.
He might not make it very far. His fat ass can't get on top of no horse. He can barely climb a motherfucking ladder.
I think Trump is doing pretty well, man. I'm telling you. I mean, he just got $24 million from Google the other day. I mean, ABC's gave him, I mean, he ain't taking a salary. He's taking it from all the media outlets. That man is making a killing.
Don't you find that weird that we got all this money to pay this fat motherfucker for not doing shit, but we can't seem to feed the homeless, feed the hungry, give motherfuckers some homeless motherfucking houses, and pay a living fucking wage? Ain't that some weird shit? But we have the moral authority to go around the world and tell people how they should be running their fucking country. Well, that's why they laughed at them at the UN meeting. Your country's gonna be a shithole. Really? Have you looked at New York? Because, like, you know, hey, them rats as big as motherfucking cats out there. I know that's what they had to be thinking. Not that I'm talking about New York, because I love New York. It's a fucking awesome place to be, but them rats here as big as a motherfucker, okay?
Oh, my. Don't get liberal city derangement syndrome. I got to move it on, King, but yeah, don't start sounding like Trump. Get liberal city derangement syndrome. Appreciate you coming through, man.
All I'm saying is, I can't wait till midnight so they release that Grindr profile. Thank you, your LGBTQBI, or excuse me.
No, you just butchering lesbian, gay, bi, trans. Just think of it that way. Lesbian, gay, LGBT, lesbian, gay, bi, trans. Just stick with the first four letters. All of that QIA shit, you don't have to venture out that far.
Thank them, because they awesome. I love them people. Them some of my favorite damn people, damn it.
All right, fair enough. Don't
the IP address. Release the motherfucking Grindr profile. And release the rest of the motherfucking Grindr profile so they crash that shit at that clan meeting in Arizona. I'm out. Peace.
Thank you. King Finn is always a pleasure. Oh my, that's diabolical. Tap the screen. Get your boy on up to about 60,000. Real slow on the likes here. Real slow. Not here on Long Island, huh, Miss Bobetta? I see that. Looking in the comments. And by the way, Jackson, thank you for the support. Thank you for helping your boy get somewhere near that hat mustache goal. I do appreciate that. Thank you folks that are showing support to the show. When you die, take no money with you. So what is the bottom? Who were the billionaires in 1 AD? Anyone know? That's a good point. You're saying that when you die, you don't take any money with you. You don't get that bragging point throughout history. You're saying who were the wealthy people back in the year 1 AD? Nobody knows. It don't matter anymore. Yeah. You know, what is the saying from the Lion King? Don't worry about it. It's in the past. I thought that they were talking about attacking them. Attacking who? Attacking who? And thank you for the 100 likes on YouTube. Appreciate that. Congrats. Talking about Imagine Harris. Trump said Biden was right about the war. We're talking about Imagine Harris. Trump said Biden was right. I don't understand what you're saying there, but I will tell you this without even understanding what you're saying there. Biden and Kamala Harris were certainly far more accurate than President Trump was in regards to those wars. They were far more, because Kamala Harris during the debate told Trump that Putin was going to eat his lunch. When Trump was bragging that he could end the war in 24 hours, Kamala Harris talked about him being a member of the KGB and how much intelligence he had. It's like, Putin's going to eat your lunch. And that absolutely has happened. I mean, Putin has embarrassed Trump. At this point, there is no denying that President Trump underestimated Vladimir Putin. Had the guy over here, red carpet, giving him a military flyover, put him in the beast in the presidential limo. You got Putin going by smiling and shit. The minute Putin went back home, he went right back to what he was doing. Now, there is a precedent to that because the right, the conservatives, my beloved MAGA, said the same thing when President Trump went to North Korea and met Kim Jong-un about how great that was that he went and reached out to that guy. And once again, once Trump and Kim Jong-un separated, Kim Jong-un within a few months went right back to doing what he was doing. So it does seem as though they're not taking Trump seriously. Remember, we put Trump in there, we got rid of Biden because under Biden, America was a laughing stock, and it's now great to have a leader in there that the world respects. I don't see any evidence of that. I think Putin has kind of squashed that. I don't see any evidence that the world is respecting him like that because how many times has he threatened Vladimir Putin that if he doesn't stop the Ukrainian war, we're going to do X to Russia? And not one of those times has Russia bowed down and did what Trump wanted. Not once. I think there's about 6 times that Trump has threatened him. He gave him a 50-day threat. Nothing was happening, so he lowered it to 10. Nothing was happening, so he invited him to Alaska and stated that if nothing comes out of the Alaska meeting, there's going to be severe penalties. Nothing happened from that, and he's punished him. He's threatened to punish him several times since that. Nothing's coming out of it. But yet in 2012, when Barack Obama said that if the Syrians continue using chemical weapons on their own people, America was going to be forced to act. Syria did not take Obama seriously, and Obama did not follow through on his threat. And the same folks defending Trump now call Obama nothing short of a pussy for making a threat he didn't follow through on. Trump has made about 6 or 7 threats like that now. He's made about 6 or 7 threats to Putin. So if Obama looked bad for making one threat and not carrying it out, how does Trump look? Or should we just skip over Trump because it's Trump? Tap the screen, get us on up to 60,000. Americans have never been told the truth. In which subject, though? I'd like to know, because you're right, but it's in a whole host of different subjects. Tim is not lost. He's playing checkers. Oh, I'm playing checkers now. Okay, I like it. NBC says, yeah, whether or not they're going to support something crazy. How are we still discussing left versus right? It is so glaring obvious now more than ever. It's top versus bottom. This is all games to bring in the new world order. That's frightening. We're still discussing left versus right because that's what the president is leading on. President Trump is now blaming virtually all acts of violence on the radical left. That's kind of the way it's going now. The minute something happens, he don't even need to know who was captured or who's been charged with the crime. He's already on TV blaming it on the radical left. So that's why we're discussing right versus left, is because President Trump is doing it on television as often as he can get a chance to do it. He's doing it almost every other day now. Continuing on with the you really said something about her dead husband. What are you talking about tomorrow? I don't know. All these MAGA are going to start talking about coming together. Well, Mike, you said that all of these MAGAs going to start talking about coming together. They're not talking about coming together with the liberal. I can tell you that much. They're not talking about that. Let me go back to the box. Continuing on with the program. Jeremy, good evening. Welcome to the show. One of my subs there. Jeremy, good evening. Where are you reading that? The Handsome Liberal. What chat are you reading? I don't see that. What are you talking about? Gothic, we're on multiple chats. Real quick, hang on a second, Jeremy, when you come up. We're currently on YouTube. We're currently on TikTok and Instagram. So I got multiple screens going. So when I'm reading chats, it ain't always on the one you're on. I got multiple platforms running simultaneously. So we're on if you're on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. By the way, if you enjoy this type of dialogue, open dialogue, doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. If you enjoy this across the aisle with nobody being blocked, banned, or censored, a program with no moderators, I'm going to ask that you Give us a sub if you're watching on YouTube. Follow the program if you're watching on Instagram or TikTok. Good evening, Jeremy.
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Where the hell are you at?
Say good morning. That's a little odd.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just so used to saying that. So I talk to a lot of Brits, so oftentimes they're on a different time schedule than me, and so it's usually like at this time there it's like 3 a.m. in the morning for them. Anyway,
before you start, I got two things. First of all, Sherman in the comments says this guest makes me sad. Wow. Now you talk to a lot of Brits. You're talking to a lot of people in the UK. What is their opinion on America right now under Trump?
It's very divided. Depends on who you're talking to. Some of them like him. Some of them hate him. Some of them like the conservatives and Republicans as a whole, except for Trump. Some of them are like Trump and think the rest of the conservative movement. It's just like America, man. It's just like
what
America.
do the Brits like about Trump and what do they hate about? Give me some examples. What the Brits that don't like him? What do they not like? The Brits that do like him, what do they do like?
Okay, so the Brits that do like him, they like his no-nonsense attitude. They like a lot of the policy he has. And again, this is them, not me. And they like the fact that he's getting the military back in shape, which, by the way, needs to absolutely fucking happen. Oh, we're gonna have less soldiers. Yeah, tough shit. We don't need those fuck fats. Okay, fuck them. Bye. Anyway,
really?
So
keep going. Keep going.
I'm dead serious about that. I mean, there's no such thing as someone who's fat because they ate an average amount. Okay, if you want to get less fat, which is something I'm trying to do, I'm trying to lose weight, man. And guess what? I chose to be fat, and it's my responsibility to get unfat. Nobody is fat. That's because they ate too little food.
I think it's a little bit more to it than that. I know I'm going to sound like I'm playing victim or whatever, but I know because I've been overweight my whole life. I'm 6'6" and I'm like 320, and I know when I moved overseas, even though I wasn't doing much different, I started losing weight. The quality of the food in Australia and New Zealand is better. The portion size is smaller. I mean, there are things in this country that we do that are conducive to gaining weight, whether you want to gain it or not. The food is not as good. I mean, what the way we feed, the way we eat is bad.
Truth to that. There's only a small amount of truth to that. The truth is that if you eat fewer calories than you burn off, you will lose weight. The laws of thermodynamics do not change just because of the country you're in.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying the temptations are much worse here. What's in the food is much worse here. Yeah, the portion size is much worse here. It's a lot easier to do something when people are not throwing all kinds of bad options at you. And when you're over here, the options they throw at you that are bad are much more numerous.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that we also don't have as many walkable cities. Like, we don't have as many sidewalks as we used to. Now, personally, I'm okay with like having a bunch of roads and a bunch of like independent people in cars and bikes. And I really appreciate motorcycles because they pollute less and they're a lot of fun. But here's the thing: I also think we need sidewalks and we need more walking paths. We need places for people to walk and move.
That's how I agree with you 100%. That's how I lost my weight. I mean, I built up a lot of muscle, but it was by lifting heavy weights. But walking certainly helped me lose more weight than bike riding or run, anything. Just simply walking is very beneficial if you do it. And real quick in the comments, Papa Slice says the U.S. food is way better than Australia. It is better tasting, but it is not as healthy. I mean, just like if you lived in Chicago and you moved somewhere else, the food in Chicago tastes better than the small town. That don't mean it's healthy, though. It tastes better, I agree, but it's not good for you. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Yeah, but again, we need to get rid of these fat bodies in the military. Goodbye. I don't care or if you're like piloting a drone. You want to know why? Because every single soldier has to be able to take on a combat role if and when we run out of normal combat and recruits. Now, the majority of the military, Tim, is actually not combat MOSs. The majority of them are actually POGs, people who are not in active combat. But they all need to be at the ready for it. That's why I think that even non-combat people need to every once in a while qualify on rifle and on handguns. They need to be able to run a mile. Actually, run way more than a mile, I would say. They need to be just as fit as everybody else.
I don't disagree that you shouldn't be overweight and shit in the military. And I do have to ask you this. I didn't know about it, but it's coming up in the comments. Apparently, you said something about the deceased partner, the gangster grandma. What did you say and why did you say it?
Oh no, me and gangster grandma were going back and forth. I didn't know her husband was dead, actually.
Okay, because apparently somebody's bringing it up. But I do agree with you that in the military, you should be fit. But when you got people up there talking like Trump about woke and DEI and shit like that, I'm just gonna be honest with you. If I'm my kids coming out of college or something like that, maybe this ain't the place. Maybe you don't need to go deal with all that bullshit. I'd rather try to help you get through college and get a regular degree and go into corporate America. I don't want to put you in their hands. May send you into war somewhere and treat you like shit while you're serving their cause. They're talking down to the people that's serving under them right now.
They're talking down to them because we're not where we used to be. And here's the thing. I blame a lot of it on gentle parenting. A lot of it on these millennials that go like, oh, we can't tell our baby what to do. There are teachers all over this country quitting their jobs because there's no discipline at home. And so the teachers can't really do anything to punish these kids because the parents won't punish them at home. Like, these kids are acting like shitheads. So, honestly, I can see why a lot of the people in their military ain't shit anymore. And you know what? I don't have to have served a single day to know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I do agree bad parenting plays its part in a lot of our issues in society. But like I said, if you don't make the military more lucrative, I mean, if I'm in the military and I'm a fat fuck or whatever, but I'm getting the job done that I'm required to do, but you're all of a sudden coming down on me because I've gained a few pounds and you're talking to me like shit, and the pay is not going up, the benefits are not going up, fuck it, I'm out of here. I mean, if you're going to do all of that to these people, you got to make it more lucrative for them, and I'm not hearing that.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Tim. Here's the thing. Okay, there is a discussion to be had about whether we should raise the amount that we pay our military staff. There's a discussion to be had about that. With that being said, I would rather have a smaller military that was more elite. I would rather have that. Okay, our military has shown time and time again that it's not pure quantity that matters, but quality and experience. That's something that a lot of people underestimate. People think like, oh, China, they're so scary. Look, they got all these people. They ain't shit. China ain't shit.
Well, yeah, but now when you get when you're getting involved in every damn thing, you can't have a smaller military when you're constantly. I mean, you got Trump in Venezuela talking about taking over Greenland, talking about taking back the Panama Canal. You're trying to get your hands in every damn thing. You can't shrink the military down under that type of a situation.
All those conflicts. Some of them I think are just an overstep of us. But if we really put our troops only where we really needed them, we'd be able to manage pretty well. I mean, you want to know why Britain can have free healthcare? It's because
they don't stay at fucking. I don't think it's because we protected them. It's just they don't
Our
stay.
Navy protects them.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm gonna tell you something. North Korea doesn't have a significant navy. Ain't nobody fucking with North Korea. It ain't got nothing to do with us protecting them. It's that we like getting involved in every damn thing around the world. As long as you got a few nukes in your country, ain't nobody gonna fuck with you. You notice there's a handful of countries that have atomic weapons. Nobody's fucking with them. They don't need 10 aircraft carriers to protect their country. People know what they got, and that is enough. The reason that America needs all this shit is because we like getting involved in other people's business. These other countries, they're not doing that. So they can give their citizens health care. It ain't that America's protecting them. America's doing what's best for America. And if somebody happens to get protection out of that, that's fine. But what we're doing what's best for ourselves. Those other countries, they're not doing that. They're not wasting a ton of money on the military, so they can look after their own people. I think Trump just authorized, $100 billion or something like that for a bunch of F-47 jets that they're naming, F-47, kind of like his presidency or what. We don't need that. We don't need that shit. But we like just being able to brag and say our military is huge.
We definitely do, Tim. We definitely.
Why? Give me a reason why. Give me a reason why. Give me a reason why the largest military air force in the world is the U.S. Air Force. The second largest air force in the world is the U.S. Navy.
The Navy.
Why the hell do we need all that?
Are you watching basketball in the background?
Yeah, I got the Indiana Fever playing in the background on the big screen.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't have the music.
Yeah, but anyway, it's because you want to know what really backs up most of our dollar? Our military strength. Now, we should honestly get it back on the gold standard, but a lot of our military, a lot of our dollar is actually based on our military strength.
If we shrunk our military down somewhat, we would still have that strength. I mean, we got like 12 aircraft carriers. I think.
Yeah, but get rid of all the fat bodies.
Hold on, I would leave that one alone. But we got like 12 aircraft carriers. I think the next nation under us, I think, is either Russia or China. They got like 2. I think China has 2 and Russia has 1. We got 12. If we knock that down to 5, we would still have far more military might than anybody else in the world. We got like 5,000 nuclear weapons. If we knock that down to 2,000, we would still have far more than most countries on the planet. We got way more surplus than we need. That maintaining all of that shit, that could give people health care. Some of the stuff that they don't want, they're telling you we can't afford to pay for, is because we're taking care of that shit.
Then who's going to stop the piracy of the world?
You don't need 12 aircraft carriers to do that.
Oh, but we do.
No, you don't.
The dominance we hold over the world is the reason why we have a peaceful world. If it wasn't for the United States of America, the world would be way worse. You don't think I'm correct, but
you're not correct at all. I think you're saying that if it wasn't for the United States, the rest of the world would be fucked up. A lot of people look at what the United States is doing and say the world is fucked up now. We just like what we're doing, so we don't see it as fucked up. Venezuelans don't think, the people in Haiti don't think it's great. The people in Cuba don't think, the people in Iran don't think it's great. The whole continent of Africa don't think it's great. I mean, there's plenty of people.
Shithole nations don't like us. Also, World War I, World War II,
Yeah.
the Korean and War of Vietnam. I mean, come on.
A lot of those, but Jeremy.
Honestly, you want to know something? Half the time we have to slap the Europeans around and tell them to knock it off with their stupid, pointless brother wars.
A lot of those shithole countries that you're talking about, they're only shitholes because America fucked them over. That America has a lot to do with putting coups in countries and putting in leaders that are friendly to the United States that's going to sell out their own people. We're involved in a lot of those nations that are shitholes would not be shitholes had they not made some kind of deal with the United States.
Actually, communism has made most of those countries shitholes.
Oh, but you get what I'm saying. America has it. Certainly all of the countries in our region, all of the countries that are south of the border or over in the Caribbean, most of those countries, the ones that are impoverished, there's some American influence in why that happened.
There's some influence, I'll say this. By the way, I did want to comment about us doing practice in urban cities. Good.
You like that?
Yeah.
Why?
Want to know why?
Yeah.
Because we need people to be good at urban warfare. Because that's something that happens all the time in the military and in warfare. I mean, look at Fallujah.
You can't just make a mock city out in the desert and do that. You got to do it in Chicago, where you could actually get military personnel killed by American citizens.
Do you have any idea how expensive that is to do? Okay, like they would have to, like, in order to simulate anywhere, they have to do that. They have to build everything from scratch. That'd be unbelievably expensive. When you could just use already existing infrastructure.
Because if you make one fuck up, the lawsuit could end up costing as much as a city you didn't want to build. All it takes is one or two of them to do something stupid and end up taking somebody's life that didn't deserve to happen. And you got to assume there's going to be plenty of lawsuits because you're training on actual human beings. So it's going to be many fuck ups. All of them lawsuits, just go ahead and build a mock city where you don't risk hurting people.
Well, I don't think that's a terrible idea, but I don't think that doing it in the urban districts, especially in places where there are tons of abandoned buildings, things where only druggies go and stuff like that, I don't see that as being a particularly bad thing.
There are plenty of places, Jeremy. There are plenty of towns out there. Right, there are plenty of towns out there that have a whole lot of empty structures in it. Like you mentioned Detroit or Gary, Indiana, some of these towns that have been dilapidated. Just go and purchase a few blocks of that and do it with, where nobody lives there. You don't go and do it on the streets of Chicago where there are traffic and all kinds of citizens roaming around.
Okay, well, you know what? That's a good compromise. We'll just take over the cities that have tons of empty buildings.
Yeah. But the fact that Trump is talking about doing it on his own civilians, you do understand that shit looks like an authoritarian, don't you?
Yeah, that I wouldn't be too in favor of, but I thought he was just talking about like abandoned crack houses and stuff like that.
No, he said Chicago. Chicago don't have a lot. Chicago is not a. I mean, there are some areas in town where there may be some abandoned structures, but Chicago, for the most part, is an occupied city. There's not a lot of vacancies all over Chicago. Yeah, so he said Chicago. He said Los Angeles, and he said New York. Them cities are not known as abandoned cities.
Yeah, and I understand that. So here's the thing: I actually don't have a problem with them sending federal agents to places like Chicago, as long as it's specifically for things like ICE and stuff like that. But like a full-on military, no, I don't think that's okay.
Before I let you go, let me just ask this one question. Being someone that is conservative like yourself, whatever happened to small government? You didn't want big government telling cities and states what to do. Did you guys lose that notion just because Trump got in office? Because I'm not seeing that anymore.
No, I want small but effective government. I want the government's role in our life to be small, but that role, I want it to be executed well. And since these Antifa lobotomites decide to come out of their little shells in their mom's basement and start throwing a hissy fit at federal agents, I'm okay with a little bang bang pew pew, stay on the ground and don't get up. I'm okay with a little.
I don't think you are. I don't think you are. I think you're okay with it when your side is doing it. Like when Trump declares an emergency and goes against what the mayor of Portland and the governor mayor of Portland and governor of Oregon wants. He goes in and says, no, you got an emergency whether you think you do or not. We're sitting in. Wait till all of a sudden the liberals there and they're looking at school shootings or gang violence or something or pew-pews in a Republican area and said, no, you got a gun emergency whether you think you do or not. We're sending in the federal government. I don't think you guys are going to like it as much. I think you just like it because it's happening for your side.
Tim, what is ICE for?
Immigration. Right. Customs. Immigration customs enforcement.
Does the government have even in a small government world, is that a legitimate exercise of the government? Does the government have the right to deport people? If that's all he was doing, you wouldn't get an argument for me. But when you're sending in the National Guard to secure one federal building in California, in LA, what he did in LA had nothing. That wasn't ICE. That was people were rioting. And the judge said if you're going to send them in, you can only send them in to guard federal buildings. So you got all of these folks standing around guarding one fucking building. No, that's ridiculous. Because a lot of these buildings get firebombed.
One building, really?
One building. Hey, you know what? You put on the heat. You shouldn't be angry when you get burned.
All right.
Just saying.
All right, just understand what goes around can't come around. Jeremy, as always, has been a pleasure. Thank you, man.
Love you, Tim. Have a good one.
Same. All right, moving on with the program. By the way, tap the screen. Gangsta grandma husband probably jumped in front of a bus because of her mouth. Now, that's kind of rude. Tap the screen, folks, by the way. Get the likes on up. We might be to get 80,000. Karma's a bitch, says Lisa. I agree. I absolutely agree with that. The way it's being done. Name has been called a few times, so I'm going to bring her up. Gangsta grandma. Your name is.
My husband had more balls than that bitch did. Okay, my husband fought and died for this country. What did that bitch do? Where is mama at? Only sucking on more cock. That's how desperate they are. And Jeremy, you keep my dead husband out of your mouth. Cause I'll have your whole family wiped out with it.
Hey. No, you're making a blatant threat, though. You're making a. Okay, hold on. Hang on. Gangster. You can't make threats across the fucking app.
I'm not threat. It's not a threat. It's a promise.
You can't do that.
You don't know. You do not fuck with my fact. I'm telling you.
Okay.
You motherfuckers think they don't know who I am.
Okay, move on to the next topic. I'm not trying to be state's evidence. Okay, go on to something else. The shutdown that's going on.
You scary ass. That's what I'm talking about. You scary ass.
I don't want to be involved in your hit.
I didn't put your name in it.
No, you didn't.
The motherfucker's gonna find out though.
All right, okay. I'm not trying to star in the episode of Sakaro 3. Okay, so what I want to ask you is the shutdown. Who's responsible for the shutdown?
The fat fucking office. The one that won't call our generals fat fucks. Yet the motherfucker can't button up his suit.
He ain't that fat.
He ain't a fat fuck. He's bigger than my ass. And I lost fucking weight. He's a fat fuck. He don't know shit. Fucking, did you hear him? Did you hear when I disrespected people? Did you hear his so-called drunk ass, his little homie that's above the so-called war?
Are you talking about Pete? You talking about Pete? You didn't like the.
Do you realize how bad that made us look? How do you disrespect generals and shit? Oh, you gotta lose weight, and motherfucker, you an alcoholic. You probably don't even have a fucking liver.
But
you know what I mean?
But what about like when?
And half the damn, you know what's fucking crazy? Half the damn Republicans is on Grindr.
But what about, and I've heard people say that throughout the program, but what about what Jeremy, my last caller, said is that you should be fit to be in the military. You should.
You know what Jeremy is? It's an uncooked fucking sausage. Like, this motherfucker gags on his own shit. You know what I mean? He probably fucks his own little sister, for God's sake. He's an inbred fucking jackass. He has no balls to go into the service, and he wants to talk about people like that. Generals got more balls than he does.
Okay.
They serve this damn country. You don't disrespect.
No, I agree that you don't disrespect, but what about the idea that you should be physically fit to be in the military?
There's a lot of guys that are fit in the military. If the generals are overweight a little bit, yeah, okay, kudos. They had a fucking Big Mac. They put over 20 years into the shit. My husband was a captain. He put years in his shit. So what the fuck are you talking about? If my husband came home with a little bit of chunky monkey and he was a chunky monkey, I wouldn't give a damn because he's fought for this damn country. How dare that motherfucking white T-man tell people, oh, you gotta get in shape. Bitch, go get your ass in shape. How you gonna tell somebody to get in shape when you have a fat fucking office that has like swollen ass ankles, his heart's fixed to collapse, he can't even fucking speak right, for God's sake. He was slurring up in there.
Yeah, and I see in the comments.
And then rambling on about what? We're gonna go to outer space and shoot who up? The planets?
Yeah, I see in the comments a few people are agreeing with you. Says the commander should be in. The commander in chief should set an example. And I see Curtis says, shouldn't the president be fit too? And goddamn, the guy weighs 300 plus pounds. So some folks are saying what you're saying is that if you're going to criticize
he can't even button up his suits, for God. He can't even button it up. Why do you think he sits behind the desk all the time? Because that's what you be dripping over. You know what I mean?
How about
that's your little thing. You be dripping. I support him because he don't let men in women's sports, and they don't even have fucking trans men or trans women in sports. Only 10 of them. But yeah, you're all on his cock for that. Oh my God, he's securing the border. Where? What policy has he secured the border with your ugly cock and looking ass? Where, Tim?
Well, let me tell you, I'm going to.
Policy, Tim?
I'm going to.
Give me a policy.
I'm going to stand by my statement. I think Trump is far more better.
I think you will because you like it up your ass. Yeah, bend over. Bend over, Timmy.
I think you just hate Trump.
You like it like that, Timmy.
I think you just hate Trump. That's what I think it is.
Half the population hates Trump.
I don't.
You know what? Like he said, let me tell you. Did you know how dumb and inbred these motherfuckers are? When he tells them they're uneducated, when he tells them to their face how dumb they are, when he tells them that the smart ones are mad at him.
All of that you're saying about Trump, and you know what? He still got thousands of more votes than Kamala Harris.
Let me tell you something. Jim. Get the white cock out your mouth. I mean, it doesn't make you look good. It's still fucking fat. You know what I mean? Jim, I'm going to go straight ham on you. I can't stand with ninjas like you. You over here like cupcaking for the white man, and he'll put you in a fucking tree. He don't like your ugly fucking ass. He don't like me. He don't like the next black person. You know, why do you think he's talking so much shit, Tim? He wants us black on the damn plantation.
Okay, there is no evidence that Trump wants us back on the plantation. Where are you getting that from?
He's coming from the homegrown.
That could be anybody. Though. It don't have to be nobody black. That could be a white guy.
You know, oh my God, Tim, I swear to God, you know, I don't understand. Your mama dropped you in your head a few times.
What the
Are you
hell?
black anymore? Did you drink too much bleach? I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you, Tim? You cupcake for this man that don't give two fucks about you. You be kissing Jeremy's ass. You give these motherfuckers so much respect, but they don't give you a fucking respect. You was on live today, and I seen you cupcaking. That guy, that white boy that looks like he's a fucking dum-dum for a box of rocks. What's his name? A Democrat for fucking Trump. He never was a fucking Democrat. Who the fuck talks like that? Like, good God. That's some interbred shit right there. And you couldn't even go against that shit.
I think the problem you and I have, Gangsta Grandma, is I try to judge Trump fairly. You just blindly hate the guy.
How can you judge a racist fairly? How can you do that? When he comes out and says it, when you know he's a fucking racist, his whole cabinet is a fucking racist. He lied to your fucking ugly ass and said he didn't know what Project 2025 was, and he's doing it now.
You said he's come out and told us he's racist. In what way?
Everything he's done is racist.
Everything?
What the fuck, Tim? I swear to God, is that uncooked protein? Is it deep down your throat, isn't it? You're gagging on it, isn't it?
I'm trying to figure out what the hell you're talking about.
Really, Tim? Fucking really?
I think
all he's done is all he has done is racist shit. He's only going into the black cities. Tim, are you fucking stupid? Chicago. You think Chicago's white, Tim?
No.
Well, shut the fuck up there.
Wait a minute, I wasn't even done talking here. And I see Gandalf history in the comments says you're still living in the 1800s, Grayson.
You know what? I know my fucking history. Does that motherfucker know his history? Do you know what? You know what? These white people that has voted for him, all the colonizers, you know what? They don't like to be called racist. They don't like to own up to their responsibility. They don't like to own up that the DEI is for their sorry asses, that we didn't get it like they did. The white tea woman got the welfare first.
Let me ask you this. Hold on. Let me ask you this. I want to ask you something. Hold on. I want to ask you, do you see this? Because this guy's name is Fuck YouTube. Now it's spelled PH, but he says Fuck YouTube. That's his name. He says, this black guy, he's referring to me, this black guy doesn't want to piss off the whites that subscribe to him. You don't see any validity in that, do you?
You're white your damn stuff. What are you talking about, Tim? You forgot what color you is. You
What?
Bleach. You be sucking on them.
I ain't sucking.
You know what? You push more back on me than you do. If I call you a ninja, oh no, don't do that. They call you colored. They call you boy. They do call you a ninja, and everything else. I don't even use the ER. I say the other part, and you get oh my god, you get pee-pee hearted. You little ball ugly head. You get pee-pee hearted. You push back more on me.
Well,
and I'm a fucking woman, but you won't push back on a white man, though.
Well, speaking of pushing back, I'm gonna do it right now because a flock of morons. But he had Tony Norton says so. Permanently funding historically black colleges and universities was done because he's racist.
Oh my God, here we fucking go. His little peon ass. Do you really think he's funding us? No. Biden gave more. He would try to take it out. Do you realize he took out HBCU funding? Oh yeah, and I forgot her name. She's a black woman, the congresswoman. She made it put it back in. So shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up, all right? Tim, and if you don't say shit back to that, I swear to God, I'll go and choke the holy fuck out you. I shit you not. I will. That's why your fucking ass is single.
Why I gotta be choked? Because we disagree. I think you're too hard on MAGA.
You always disagree with me, but you will not disagree with the white man, do you? Yes, master, get that whip out your ass, huh? Yes, master. Yes, huh? You want like that. You send me up 2 toes, I would never.
You
never kiss the colonizer's ass.
You watch.
Never praise Trump for shit because he comes for us. He's a colonizer. I'm not.
You watch this program and you walk away thinking I don't push back on the white man. All the libtards and shit I get called on this program.
No. Jeremy was talking mad shit tonight. Why don't you push back?
I did.
Why didn't you push back?
I did.
You really did not. You really did not. That was pushback. Oh my God! Then you need to learn something about pushing the fucking back. When you're on the white people's lives, you don't push back. You say yes, master. I got one little Democrat for Trump.
Okay.
Like motherfucker, he's a special ed dropout for real. His mama probably suffers his sister, or his daddy did, because I don't know what the fuck he's a fucking. Oh my God, he made me sick today.
Well, I pushed back the whole time, gangster. So I think you got.
You don't, Tim. No, you don't. You don't be pushing back.
I think what you want me to do is not.
Because let me tell you something, Tim. That's why people tell you to add me. And we could be. You could be the good cop. I'll be the bad. Well, golly, you can't even be a good cop. Whatever. I'll be the.
What the hell? I can't be the good cop now.
You'll be fluffy. You'll be the fluffy ass, and I stand 10 toes down. I guarantee you. I'll be pushing more back than you.
I think that you want me to be disrespectful, not push back.
You need to. Well, can I tell you something, Tim?
Sure.
Let me tell you something. The colonizers, they always be disrespectful. Look what they're doing now to us, okay? They are colonizers. Why do you need to respect their asses?
I'm a respectful kind of guy.
They don't give a fuck about you, though, Timmy. When they call you boy, they call you colored, and everything else. What kind of respect is that? Oh yeah, you know what's so fucking funny? A black church in what was it, Alabama or something got the rights to Proud Boys. They can't even do shit for that now.
I did hear about that. I actually did hear about that.
Ain't that about a bitch? You know what? They can't be racist like that, huh? They can't be promoting their racism.
All right, and I see in the comments somebody said, I'm going to disrespect you, stupid old bag. Anthony Zanze, apparently you're making enemies. I got to move it on, though, gangster grandma. I'll try to push back.
What you do. Let me tell you something, Tim.
Sure.
And I promise you on God, you better start pushing back. You better start pushing the fuck back. Because you know what? And then, watch it. They're gonna blame us for this shutdown.
Yeah.
But we're trying to save Asia. We're trying to save the Obamacare and shit. Because these idiot morons voted against their own interests.
Oh, I agree with you 100%. They're going to blame the Democrats for the shutdown. I don't disagree with that. Gangster, thank you for coming through. All right, moving on with the program. I don't push back enough, huh? I thought I did. I thought I try to, I challenge my viewers. I don't always agree. Doesn't matter if you're on the right or the left. If I hear something I disagree with, I push back. But she says I don't push back enough on MAGA. Listen, I respect MAGA just like I respect the liberals. I try to, one of the ways we run this program is we don't talk down the guests. So I think she wants me to be a little bit more disrespectful. No, you don't, says King Finn. You are the Glizzly Master General. I have no clue what that means. I'm going to plead ignorance. Let me go back to the box. I do push back. I do push back when I hear something I disagree with. Denkel will tell you that. Denkel is God is my witness. Denkel, tell them I push back.
Yes, you do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Push back, but you push back in your own specific way to generate a conversation to make people articulate what they're saying. And a lot of people don't understand, that technique. They think that every time somebody says something you disagree with, you should automatically call them a liar.
Yeah.
And say, you don't have the right to say that. I appreciate what you do. I get other people's, their frustration with you, because sometimes I do. I sit here and throw some shit at the wall, some ketchup like Trump. I throw a burger at the wall.
Listen. I'm not. I always make it clear. I'm not a know-it-all. I don't have all the damn answers. I'm just a constituent, just like the rest of us are in this whole crazy world we live in right now. But sometimes I get it right. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I anger people. Sometimes folks want to stand up and apply, like that hat and mustache that just came from JPT Farms. I appreciate that. But at the end of the day, I don't want to go gangster grandma and cuss my guests out.
Well, you wouldn't have a show if you did that.
Right. Miguel, appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You don't want to just insult people.
You can't have a show about free speech and cuss everybody out when they speak.
But you'll be amazed at how many of my viewers want me to go gangster grandma on people. But let me.
I would not be surprised. I get it. I mean, I feel it. The times I come on here, I want to go smooth gangster grandma on everybody that does crazy stuff that I don't like and stuff, but I understand, like, what's the whole point of this platform if we can't have, constructive debate? Because it's coming to an end, pretty shortly. And you being able to sustain for this long is pretty impressive when you look at all of the other people who have tried to create shows and they turn into shouting matches and everybody wants to just curse each other out and call each other names. And, like, we can do it from our perspectives when you let us up, but you don't antagonize or continue those things. You ask questions. Sometimes we don't like the questions, but they're not necessarily for us sometimes. They're for the other side sometimes.
Yeah. Thank you.
Why do you say that? You're trying to draw out an intelligent articulation of what they're saying. And if they can't do it, then they get mad at you. You're not fucking pushing back for me.
I can't. Thank you. Wow, I wish I could have recorded that. I mean, you got me giddy like Tucker Carlson. I mean, I appreciate that. That was good. But let's get into the actual topic. Did you hear Pete Hegseth addressing the generals?
I heard bits and pieces of it. I've been, and I've told you this many times, I cannot sit down and listen to these people for long periods of time because it's just so frustrating and it just makes no sense. And one way I would describe it as today we watched generals, admirals, and the top brass in the world's best military get lectured by a mid-level officer in the reserves and a four-time deferred and one-time draft dodger. Tell them what the military ethos should be. Yeah. And they use things like, it's fat people in the military. Now, I've been in the military, and I have been a borderline as far as the standard of the military. I was able to make it for 20 years. I'm a shorter person. I have a harder time with my weight and the physical, aspects, because guess what? The standard was made for who? Not black people. It wasn't made for short people. It was made for a certain demographic. So a lot of us, just like black women, don't fit in that category, because when they go to measure a black woman's waist or her breast size, she's going to be out of what they consider the norm.
They're going for the European body style.
Right. So, I get it, but what people have to understand, when you're dealing with people in the military, people are doing all types of jobs. People like myself, I was on a ship. When I went on 6-month cruises, I literally was on a 12 on, 12 off shift for 6 months with no weekends. When I finished my 12 hours, I had to wash my clothes, I had to wash my ass, I had to write home, I had to do all of these different things. And the last thing I was thinking about was running my ass up to the fucking gym and motherfucking working out. So if that made me out of standards, and you want to kick out all of the people who are out of standards for certain, go to a military hospital right now and see how many of them people are out of shape, because they work in hospitals. Yeah. They don't get to go out 3 times a week like you do in normal jobs in the military and get your PT in and get all of these things done. And I'm not making excuses.
Yeah, see that comment. I see that comment, and I think you're doing a great job explaining that. If you got a position like you said, you're working 12 on and 12 off, and when you get off, you're tired. I mean, the last thing you're thinking about is going and working out. You still got, like you said, I still got to wash my ass. I got to wash my clothes. I got other stuff to do. I don't have time to fit in a workout. I mean, my job don't require I be, fit like that. What you're doing don't require that. I mean, what you're saying does make sense.
Right, and then when you go on the mess decks on these ships, guess what you get? Motherfucking double cheeseburgers, motherfucking pizza, you get motherfucking steak, you get motherfucking shrimp, you getting all of this shit that they fucking feeding you with no healthy menu, but then they talking about, well, why you out of standards?
Wow. That's kind of what I've heard, that the folks who do tours on submarines, it's common for them to come back gaining weight.
Right, and then if you think about it in this aspect, they're bringing these people into the military. They're putting them into certain jobs, and people always think everything is like infantry. You wake up every day and you go march and you go running around. The vast majority of jobs in the military have nothing to do with just being in infantry. So you got these people who you have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to train: air traffic controllers, pilots, doctors, nurses, mechanics, and everything. And you're going to say, well, we just going to kick all of y'all out if y'all out of standards. That makes no fucking sense, and it is a waste of taxpayer dollars. Now, I get it. If you are in a specific MOS or you got a specific job in the military and your job is to fucking fight, yeah, your ass better be out here looking like The Rock.
Yeah, and that's the argument I made. I said that you got some folks that are sitting in air-conditioned trailers in the middle of Nevada using drones to hit targets in Afghanistan. That guy don't need to be super muscular. I mean, he's literally sitting down all day. He don't need to be all that fit like that.
Right, and all of the damn people they talking shit about, go look at any of the pictures when they be showing the people that's in the National Guard. Them motherfuckers ain't fit. Them motherfuckers do 2 weekends a goddamn month or some shit, and they go back to their regular lives. Them motherfuckers ain't fit at all.
Yeah. Yeah,
if you're saying that you gotta be fit to pull a goddamn trigger, then you misunderstand what the military is really about.
Yeah, and I think that's what it is. Now, like I said, I'm not military, but I think that's what it is. Folks don't realize the military has evolved. Most of the shit they're doing now is technology based, just like it is in corporate America. Whereas you don't get all that physical movement as much. Your job don't require you to do that. I mean, you're operating machines and shit like that. You have to actually go out of your way to try and get exercise because it's not part of your normal daily routine.
Right, and we got people on here who have never served a fucking day serving the American people on here talking about, well, you do got time to stay in shape and you still got time to be fit. The world has fucking changed. Just like Obama said when he was in office, he said things are different now. We don't line up in a field anymore and everybody takes turns shooting and rotating around and going to the back and going back up to the front lines. We bomb people with motherfucking with carpet bombs. We send motherfucking tomahawks all over the fucking place. We decimate the other people's army, and then we roll in a convoy up the middle, and we take shit over. And Obama said that, and they said, "Oh my God, we still need to go by the ethos of the military that we need to be able to fight on two military fronts at the same time, at all times."
Well, I'll say it like this. It looks good on camera for all your soldiers to be fit and healthy like that. But the actual necessity of it is not that strong. I mean, at the end of the day, like what you're talking about, we as Trump says, we obliterated Iranians' nuclear. The guys who did that don't need to be super fit. They flew over there in stealth bombers, pushed a couple buttons, and came home. You don't need to be super fit to do that.
And they probably weren't.
Yeah.
But we'll never see the pictures of those people because they're in a dark fucking room or in a skiff somewhere operating drones and giving information to our pilots. And look, I get it. People who don't know shit about the military or people who were reserved to goddamn infantry, which they didn't really have no fucking knowledge. They was just out there born to fucking go kill somebody. Now they talking shit about the other people, talking about everybody need to be like trained by the Navy SEALs or some shit. I don't get it. But what I did, and I'll tell you, and I ain't ashamed, when I couldn't beat the system, I joined it. When I couldn't beat the system and I was borderline, I joined the physical fitness readiness program. So I was the one who was taping people and measuring people and telling them they was too big or too small because I couldn't beat the system. But I used my fucking brain to maintain myself until I got 20 years. And I know it's a bunch of military people on here gonna be like, oh, you did this and you did that or whatever. I did what the fuck I needed to, but at the same time I served this country and I kept this country safe for the entire 20 years I was in the military.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, certainly Navy personnel, you're definitely in the Navy not doing hand-to-hand combat and shit like that. It's certainly, I mean, you know, whatever duty you're doing on the ship, whether you're flying an aircraft or, you know, you're working in the bridge, whatever you're doing, you know what I mean? Yeah, being super fit is not necessarily something that's going to really benefit you.
And guess what? When I was in charge of the PRT program, guess who was the people coming to me in the background before the test came up, talking to me about, yo, man, what's up, man? Can you hook me up? Can you hook me up? It was the fucking officers and it was the fucking chiefs and shit who was in charge of everything asking me could I fucking fake they goddamn scores so they don't have to get in trouble.
Wow. There's always plenty of that going on. Long before Trump came along, there's plenty of that happening.
Right.
Yeah.
So to go in there in a room full of those people and talk to them about using fucking American cities as fucking crash test jump dummies to fucking test ourselves so we can do that, it was the most disrespectful shit in the world. Them people wasn't there from the National Guard. He called people from combat zones. He called people from the Asian theater, the African theater. He called the top motherfucking military people.
Here's something I don't understand about that. Because first of all, everybody knows that what he did with those generals could have easily been done on a Zoom call or through an email.
Text message.
Yeah, but why announce to the world where all of our generals are going to be located? I mean, like, is that not a safety risk? You don't tell the world where all of our top generals are going to be located in this one location. That just made all of that training. Imagine if something had to happen, if somebody had to bomb that building. All of that would have been thousands of years of training just gone down the drain by taking out a few dozen generals. Like, why would they announce something like that?
And all of those generals and admirals in that room knew the same thing we saying. That's why they all sat there stone-faced. They did not applaud him. They looked at him like he was off his fucking rocker. He got mad and said, well, yeah, if you guys don't agree with me, you could just leave, but you'll be throwing your military careers away.
He said,
and all of that shit. And even at the end, if you see the very ending, when Keg Breath was talking about, what did he say? Over and out or some shit like that. Not one person applauded. They all sat there, and the person who was leading the thing immediately said, all rise. Nobody applauded him because they know what he was talking about, and the president was fucking bullshit. They all know that. I guarantee you. And I wasn't there. You're not going to talk to nobody. You're not going to talk to nobody who done did 10 years in the military and they made it to be a mid-level officer. And he trying to he basically saying, all of you motherfuckers out here ain't been doing your job.
Yeah.
And now I'm about to show y'all how they're supposed to be done.
Yeah, I mentioned to me Hegseth talking to those generals was very similar to how President Trump talked to the UN the other day. I mean, just talked down to people who worked hard to get where they were, because Trump was talking to a whole bunch of world leaders, and here Hegseth is talking to a whole bunch of generals. They pretty much just talked down to him.
Right, and Twisted up here talking about you don't applaud orders. There was no fucking orders, Twisted. He was there talking shit, and if what you're saying is correct, then why when President Trump was talking to the cadets, when he was talking to the cadets, remember he was talking to all the cadets at the graduation at West Point?
Yeah.
And he had all of them clapping and shit when he was talking shit about Biden and Obama.
Yeah.
Don't tell me what the fuck. I don't know your experience, Twisted, but you don't know what the fuck you talking about.
All right.
I'm giving you a perspective. I'm not saying that I'm right or wrong or whatever, but to just get up here and just throw some shit out there where you don't know what you're talking about is very disrespectful to somebody who spent more than 20 years of their life in the military and another 8 serving in a support role through the VA and military hospitals.
I think you will have military, whether a lot of military personnel have, they're content creators all over YouTube and things like that. I do believe you will see a bunch of military people speaking up and saying they didn't like what happened yesterday, just like they're doing on my program. A lot of you folks, I have a tiny corner of social media, but I do believe you'll have people going on the Rogans and things like that are going to be saying what Trump did they view as disrespectful. It's because with the fact that Pete Hegseth has, significantly less military experience than all those generals, and then Trump has none, they don't make for a good messenger. They just don't make for a good messenger to do that. So I think it'll end up going the way you're going. I'll give you the last word. I do got to move it on, though.
Okay, what I'll say last is what I wanted to talk about was different from this situation, but I want to talk about these people that we have been seeing going crazy around the country and pew-pewing up restaurants and
the radical left. The radical left.
You can call them whatever you want. I just want to know, the one thing they all have in common is they all white guys that have been radicalized in one way or another. So what I want to ask them is a question that has been asked to black people throughout history. What is wrong with the white people? Is it their culture? Is it their upbringing? Is it their parents? Like, what is wrong with these people that want to go places and just terminate everybody in sight? We can have conversations about what they do in the hood and stuff, and they shoot people. Guess what? They shoot people over territory, money, all kinds of things. But they never go to a club that a gangster is in and just say, I'm going to pew-pew everybody in this motherfucking place. We don't do that. So I want to know what is wrong. I want them to answer that same question that they keep asking us. They have everything. They have the House. They got the Senate. They got the Supreme Court. And they talking about, well, it's going to be the Democrats' fault if the government shut down. How the fuck is that our fault?
Well, let me ask you, though, should the Democrats, because right now, the Democrats could keep the government open if they voted with the Republicans. Should they, for the sake of saving the government from shutting down, should they have just caved in and voted with the Trump administration?
Who, are you talking about the Democrats?
Yeah. Democrats could have kept the government open.
No, they shouldn't. No, they shouldn't. They should not. They should go back and sit in the fucking corner and let the Republicans figure it out. But they won't, because they're weak and they will capitulate, because that's what they do. We got people that's leading the party like Schumer, who's going to say, well, we had to do it because we didn't want to hurt the American people because Trump was going to fire everybody. Fucking, he's already firing everybody.
Yeah, and I agree with that from the standpoint of, normally when there's a government shutdown, people have to work temporarily without getting paid, but they catch up when the government opens back up. They don't normally fire a bunch of people when the government is shut down. That's something Trump is doing himself, and my guess is he already wanted to do that, and he's going to use the shutdown as an excuse to do it because he has a lengthy history of firing people. So the firing thing has nothing to do with the shutdown. That's just Trump using that as an excuse to fire people.
Right, and he knows that eventually, yes, I see everybody saying, no, they gonna shut it down. The Democrats gonna shut it down. They gonna shut it down because the Republicans left town.
Yeah.
They couldn't capitulate right now if they wanted to because ain't nobody there. But wait until a couple of days into it and he starts canning people and stuff that this gonna be the Democrats thinking they coming to the rescue of the American workers saying, well, we just didn't want to see that happen to so many people, so we allowed him to continue appropriating funding.
It's going to happen anyway. If they're cutting Obamacare and things like that, people are going to get hurt whether the government is open or not. Trump wants to keep the government open so he could hurt people. So it's going to happen no matter what. So right. I got to move it on, though. Go ahead.
I got you, man.
All right.
Take care, man.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Denkow. Thank you. By the way, tap the screen. We got over 100. Get us up to 110. Thank you, folks that are tapping the screen. Popcorn says Battlestar. Just get some pop. Yeah, I mean, listen, you can either let the government shut down and see a lot of Americans get hurt if you're a Democrat, or you can side with the Republicans, let the government stay open, and then watch Trump do things that you're going to probably view as hurting a lot of Americans. So it doesn't matter if the government's open or closed. If you're a Democrat, you're going to believe that a lot of Americans are being hurt because he wants to make deep cuts to Obamacare. So if the government is open, that's what he's going to do. So you're going to see people get hurt no matter which way you go with it. So it's really up to the Democrats at that point to just simply listen to their constituents and make a decision from there. We see color. Please stop saying we don't see color, says tech support. America's always seen color. There's no point in American history where we have not seen color. Lisa, and Coach Jam, I wonder if I take you home, will we still be in love? Because I need it tonight. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. But if you vote on something, you take responsibility for it. True. And if you don't vote on it, there are going to be folks on the right that are obviously going to blame the Democrats for the shutdown. The Democrats are obviously going to blame Trump supporters and Trump's administration for the shutdown. Here's the thing, the conundrum I believe the Democrats are faced with. If the Democrats do not side with the Trump administration, you're going to have President Trump on television, him and J.D. Vance and his administration, blaming the Democrats for the shutdown. If the Democrats actually side with the Trump administration and the government is opened, Trump is going to take all the credit for it, and he's going to say it would not have even come this close if the Democrats were not playing games. So the point I'm making is the Trump administration is going to criticize the Democrats no matter what they do. Even if they work with him to open up the government, he's going to still criticize them. They're not going to win with Trump no matter what. So the point I'm making is there really is no incentive for the Democrats to work with Trump at all. He's not going to give you any of the stuff you want in the bills that he's passing, and he's going to criticize you even if you work with him. So there just is no incentive at all for Democrats to work with somebody that is literally treating you like shit the whole time. You're not going to get any credit. Well, we were able to keep the government open. We had some sensible Democrats come around, and we were able to do this in a bipartisan manner and keep the government open for the American people. Trump ain't going to say nothing like that. He's not going to say anything like that. He would be saying things more like along the line of, the Democrats already knew, as useless as they are, that they were going to get voted out of office if they didn't wake up and realize we had the best idea for America. That's the type of stuff that Trump is going to say. So there's just no incentive to work with him. He's not going to give you credit either way. Look at what the Democrats want. It's horse shit, says Jeremy Cross. Well, but you got to keep in mind that Democrats think what the Republicans want is horse shit. That's how a compromise works. You give me your horse shit, I give you my horse shit, and we meet in the middle. You don't get all of your shit and just tell me I don't get nothing that I want. That's what Trump is trying to do. That ain't gonna work. The Democrats are demanding free health care for illegal aliens or they will shut down the government. That ain't true, Denise Davenport. That is actually not true. That is that's false. I was watching News Nation tonight and they even talked about that. That is not true. They're not demanding free health care. Americans don't even get free health care. So it's definitely not true for an immigrant. You as a U.S. citizen don't even get free health care. Now, if an illegal immigrant gets ran over by a bus and shows up to the hospital broke, I think the Democrats do want you to try to save his fucking life. Now, I know the Republicans will probably say something to the notion of you should have thought about that before you entered the country. You don't have health insurance. I mean, but no, they're not demanding free health care for illegal immigrants. Like I said, they're not even demanding it for U.S. citizens. Our great president is toiling 24/7 to help the average American. Don't be so ungrateful. You saying that President Trump, Keflin Mackin or whatever, you saying that President Trump is working 24 hours, 7 days a week to help the average American. Don't be so ungrateful. You know, listen, I have no problem. If he's working that hard to help the average American, I'll give him credit for it when I see it. I don't see where Trump working 24/7 is benefiting me. I don't see where the price of groceries have dropped. I don't see, the price of salaries going up, the price of taxes going down, the price of inflation. I don't see none of that stuff is affecting me. So he's working 24/7, but it ain't helping me. If it helped me, I would be on your side and I would agree with you. Government shutdown means no jobs for September. America is in a recession. That might be something the Democrats want. That might be something. Remember when, I'll give you a very similar example. Remember toward the end of Biden's term when they proposed the border bill? The Republicans rather were saying how out of control the border was. And by the way, folks, thank you for helping me out with that hat mustache goal. Thank you. Show your boy some love. We're getting close, but thank you for that hat mustache. But remember when Biden was 3 years in his term, and they were constantly talking about how awful the border was. We need to do something about the border. Finally, 3 years in, Biden comes up with a border bill. And as opposed to doing what was right and securing the border from what they said was a horrible overrun of criminals and bad hombres coming in the country, because it gave Trump political capital, knowing that he was going to campaign and run for president on a fucked up border, he chose to just leave the border open. Leave it open. I'll campaign, I'll get reelected, and then I'll fix it then. But I'm willing to let the border remain open for the next 11 months, knowing that God knows who could come in here. You're campaigning, you're going against Biden on the notion that the border is insecure, they're emptying their prisons, they're emptying their insane asylums, and they're just sending folks to America that may be terrorists, people that have not been vetted, we don't know who they are. That's how bad the Trump administration believed Biden was doing with the border. That's how bad MAGA thought Biden was doing with the border. But as bad as that is, as all those unknown, dangerous people potentially coming into the country, they had no problem with when President Trump said, leave it that way for the next 11 months because I want to run for office and campaign on it. Maybe that's what the Democrats are doing right now. As bad as it is to shut down the country and cost people their jobs and shit like that, leave it that way because we want to run on that in the midterms. Could be the same thing. Could be the same exact thing. Because when Trump did that, that made no sense whatsoever. If you really believe that dangerous people, terrorists and shit are coming into the country, why would you leave it like that for 11 months? Well, because I want to run on it. Okay, well, that may be what's happening now with the government shutdown. As bad as it is to let people be out of work and federal parks and shit are closing and stuff like that, as bad as that is, leave it that way because we want to run on it in the midterms. This is why I keep telling folks, karma is real. If it seems great when the Republicans are doing stuff, understand that there will come a time, as long as we remain a democratic republic, that the Democrats can do the same stuff that you're favoring now. You're cheering on stuff that you would not cheer on if the other side does it. And understand, as long as you keep doing that, you're opening up the door for the other side to do it. A perfect example to me, the biggest one, is giving Trump as president immunity. There is a million ways where that could go wrong in the future. There's a million ways. Nobody should have favored giving a president immunity. It's a million ways once he is gone and you got a liberal or somebody else in there. There's a million ways that could go wrong. So for folks who were cheering that on, there likely is going to come a day when you're going to be very unhappy that that ever happened. Trump is making it so we can't vote again. El Diablo, I've heard people say that. Let me just say it this way. I don't have official confirmation to suggest Trump is making it where we can't vote again. I don't like some of the things he's doing in regards to voting, but we're not quite there yet. Freedom fighter, I agree with you. Immunity is fascism. I don't like the immunity thing. I don't think it should be. I wouldn't have wanted Obama or Biden to have it. I just don't think because shit, at that point you can break the law. You can actually break the law. Only ones hurting on shutdown is government workers. That's a lot of people, though. The post office. There's a lot of people that work for the government. Park district. There's a lot of federal parks and shit. There's a lot of people that does that. And keep in mind, just like when Trump was firing a lot of federal workers and people, it's just federal work. Now it's not just federal employees. These folks, if you work for the federal government, let's say you work in the U.S. Treasury, or let's just say you work for the post office. When you get off work, or better yet, when you're going to work in the morning, you might stop at Starbucks for a coffee before you begin your post office route. Maybe during the day, when you get your lunch, you might go to McDonald's or some shit. When you get off work, you might stop and patronize the local grocery store to get some food on the way home to feed your kids. All of them businesses, when you get fired and when you're not making money, all of them are going to see you missing as a customer. So their business just got cut by you because you're not making any money right now. And when you start multiplying that by all of the federal employees, all of them are patronizing other businesses that have nothing to do with federal employees. There may be a taco truck that pulls up in front of a federal building, and employees come out during break or lunch and purchase tacos or rice or whatever is being sold. That guy is now going to miss all of that business because them people ain't working. There's all sorts of trickle-down effects. The local 7-Eleven that people come in the morning to get a newspaper or a coffee or whatever, they're not in there anymore. This is what happened with the tourism industry when people stopped coming. It's more than just the federal workers. It's going to be other people that's going to pay for that. Shoo says, Trump is the GOAT, greatest of all time. He came in with vengeance. Only one of them can touch one of them. They've treated us worse than dogs, and now they will feel it. There's a lot of people saying what you're saying. There's a lot of people believe that Biden and the Democrats weaponized the DOJ. They went after Trump. They tried to impeach him twice. You've seen his letter to Pam Bondi. A lot of people on the right are saying what you're saying. But here's what I don't understand. If you did not favor what you believe was a weaponized Department of Justice against Trump because you thought that was wrong, how does it suddenly become correct and acceptable now when Trump is doing the exact same thing to other people? Based on what I'm hearing, you're actually okay with a weaponized Department of Justice. You just want it to be weaponized for your side. Because if it's wrong to weaponize the Department of Justice, it should be wrong to do it, period. Not just right to do it in revenge. What Trump is doing, if it was wrong for the Democrats to do it, in your opinion, it should be wrong for Trump to do it. But continuing on with the program, Sherbert, good evening, welcome to the program. Go ahead.
Well, just finally, you've been pontificating there for a quick minute.
Wait, that happens. Sometimes we get into a bloviating spell. What do you think there? Should the Democrats have worked and make this work? They didn't have to let the government shut down.
You can't always just give in to the people that never reciprocate. And it's pretty clear that the Republicans over the last 8 years have never wanted to give up anything. Marjorie Taylor Greene was a very loud proponent of, doesn't matter, we want this, we will never give in. And it's time for the Democrats to, show some backbone and do literally what they have done themselves. So they don't have any, legs to stand on arguing against it. The same way Gavin Newsom's tweets really pissed everyone off for a while, just because, oh no, he's doing what we do? How dare they? Fuck off.
So, how long should the Democrats let the government stay closed?
I'm not the right person to ask that question. I don't know.
People are going to be hurting, Sherbert. That's all I'm saying. Regardless, if you want to...
I totally understand. And people are already hurting. So it's even more devastating than it has been in the past. But with literally Pete Hegseth's speech and how Trump has been talking at the memorial, it's very clear that we're heading in a very dark, heavy authoritarian way. And people still don't seem to understand that most of the political violence is coming from the right. I was literally in a chat room live the other day where people were saying the Minnesota senator, Melissa Hortman, attacked. They were telling me Melissa Hortman's attacker was a Democrat, a leftist.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you,
so if you don't believe that, I'm done. What do you want me to do anymore?
That's because President Trump is rushing the television quickly. And at this point, Trump is, for the most part, blaming all acts of violence on radical left. I mean, you don't even need to know who the person is yet. He's just automatically blaming all acts of violence on the radical left the minute he hears about it.
Before we knew literally anything about CK, there were so many accusations, and it's just so clear. I'm so tired of talking with Twisted's being a real cunt right now. In the comments
what is
and
Twisted
he refuses
saying?
to come up.
I didn't see. What did he say? What is Twisted saying?
Oh no, he's been going for a cool minute, just being a straight cunt and refusing to come up. And he's got this moral high ground. I'm not even going to talk to Tim. It's not even free speech. You know he's lying.
I haven't noticed him. Listen, Twisted is MAGA, and Twisted knows he is welcome on the program any damn time. It's always free speech. I don't know what he's talking about. He can come here and we give him plenty of time to talk. He can tell me I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, and we let him stay here like a plant. We don't move people because they got a difference of opinion or because they favor Trump or they favor the left. When we say free speech, I think I've went out of my way to prove that is exactly how we operate here.
Okay, and then, hey, if there's so many questions about the pew pew being assembled, disassembled, where they found it, how everything was talked about, do you trust the casings? Are you sure?
I'm going, here's the way I look, because I was on a live earlier today and somebody was talking about that stuff, and I told them, I said, the Democrats trust information coming from Kash Patel's FBI the same way you would trust it if it was ran by Al Sharpton. Like, Kash Patel is obviously a loyalist. He is not an unbiased director of the FBI. We know he is 100% in the tank for President Trump. So you're going to get Democrats that are not going to trust anything he says because he was heavy on Epstein, and the minute he got into the job, he suddenly don't care about Epstein anymore.
Well, 1 second, Tim. One thing that Twisted was saying that he just had a carpet. You people are the ones that are unaliving people. And he said that over and over and over in the comments and having just straight blame about everything. And it's not fair and it's a little retarded in my mind.
Well, in my opinion, that's a lot of that coming from the right is because of Trump. Like I said, Trump is rushing the TV anytime any violent act takes place and just saying it's the radical left. I mean, just like you mentioned,
he runs to the TV just to make news. That's all he wants to do.
It's working, though. I can't hate on the man. It's working.
I disagree, but we have.
I disagree with it, but it's working. I mean, him talking to the media, it has an effect. What do some people say sometimes? If you say something, if you keep saying something over and over again, people believe it. He rushed to the television, unlike Biden, who they said was hiding in his basement. Trump is on TV every day. People believe that stuff.
That's really sad for people not to be able to discern their news, and especially when Fox News is the #1 channel, and they spread so much disinformation. They got sued for $87 million.
87.
So,
that shit was like, that shit was like,
800? How
that
much
was, it was
was it?
like 700 and something million. It was
You're
three-quarters.
right. I was wrong.
Yeah, it was way
Close
more
to
than that.
800 million.
Yeah, it was like $775 million.
When they're the largest distributor of news and they want to talk about us coming up with facts, like you really don't have much ground to stand on when that's who you're listening to. They got sued for the biggest defamation case in history. Oh, I'm sorry, you just don't have. You're not as credible as you say. You're more like the Chihuahua barking than.
And the crazy thing is, with Fox News and Dominion voting machines, they actually settled for $750 million. You only settle because you think it's going to be bigger. They settled for $750 million. So when you give up the fight, that means you think that you could get hit for even more. They settled for that. So they definitely biggest defamation case in U.S. history.
So I'm really tired of these people placing blame when they're listening to someone that was settled for that much.
Yeah.
Shut up. Shut the fuck up. With so much entitledness about, like, I'm right, you guys are crazy. No, I'm just looking at history, looking at you, not making any sense. Listening to Trump literally hurts to listen to because it's so hard to follow with what the fuck he's saying, with
really?
Also understanding what facts are.
I think it's easy. I mean, I don't think he always has the facts down, though, but I mean, he's pretty easy to understand.
No, he's not. He rambles. He makes no fucking sense other than don't take Tylenol. Don't do it. Don't. A pseudomedication. Yeah, don't do that.
I'm really
Shut the fuck up. You got no legs to stand on. He just liked the man. Admit it.
And you know the crazy thing with the whole Tylenol thing is now because he's president, they can't sue him, can they?
No.
Because that's obviously
he has complete immunity. While in a presidential act of making this declaration, he is completely immune, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, because he's obviously going to cost Tylenol a ton of business, and from what we can tell, it's not really based on any solid proof at all. But yeah, he can't be held accountable for it.
I mean, that's what really hurt my brain when they came down with that ruling. Was it's so clear he's going to use it to its fullest extent, and everyone just cheered. Yeah, he said he needed it, so yeah, he must need it. And now he's using it because he needs it.
Yeah. He is our president, though. Why do you think is that you see this stuff? If what you're saying is true, why do you think MAGA sees this so much differently? Because MAGA, I got people in the comments saying that Trump is the best president. Somebody called him the GOAT, greatest of all time.
I mean, I wonder if these people really liked Tommy Tuberville as their senator.
Ooh.
And holding up the military progression for 9 months, I believe. So if you liked how he acted, then Trump is your guy. I think that's despicable. And then so these people that are calling him the GOAT, they don't really have facts to stand on. They just go off of slogans. Russia, Russia, Russia. Fuck off, I'm done.
Well, and see, my point on Trump when folks call him the GOAT is, I think about the presidents we've had in history, defeating the English to make us a country, Lincoln freeing slavery, or better yet, ending slavery, giving women the right to vote, women's suffrage, ending that, Civil Rights Act under, Martin Luther King. You're talking about sending people to the moon under JFK, defeating the Soviet Union with Ronald Reagan. What has Trump done to make him the greatest of all time? Like, where is he at in that list? That, 50, 100 years from now, we're going to be saying, man, that guy Trump did this. What is the this represented by to give him the greatest of all time?
I've got you. He canceled our humanitarian aid to the rest of the world. He should get the Nobel Peace Prize for ending our aid to literally the rest of the world.
Mm.
Okay.
I don't, like I said, I would give him credit if, you know, people say I'm fluffing all the damn time and I'm in the camp for Trump. I would give him credit if there was something there, but greatest of all time, I just don't see anything remotely there. I mean, what does he know? Now he's bragging that he ended 8 wars. I don't think the rest of the globe agrees with him on it, but if he truly did end 8 wars, that would be a significant accomplishment. But I don't think most of the rest of the world agrees with that. So I don't know what he's done to give him greatest of all time. But there are people who believe he's the best president America has ever had, and I just don't understand what it's based on.
Man, isn't the bar so low?
To call him the GOAT, it would have to be on the floor. Yeah, to call him the GOAT, like
you said it.
You know, listen,
you're not fluffing here.
Like I said, I'll give him credit where he deserves. But if he actually was able to achieve greatest of all time, yeah, the bar must have been something you could just step over. Like he hasn't done anything that's that significant. I don't know anything that Trump has done that 50 or 100 years from now people are gonna be talking about. The economy, maybe the Space Force, I guess.
He released Enrique Tarrio after conspiracy sedition, I believe was his charge. When it was very well proven, yes, he wasn't there, but he planned out a strategic attack on our capital. And he did the right thing. He pardoned all of them. Isn't that what he said he was going to do? And he did it. He's winning.
But what about the
charged with conspicuous?
But what about the border? Florida Blondie says, seriously, closing the border. Finally, that to me deserves best president ever. He closed the border, therefore that should make him better than, you know, freeing slaves, beating the Soviet Union, giving women the right to vote. Just simply closing the border should propel him above all of that.
What law did he pass to make that happen?
I don't know.
Neither do I.
Don't know.
And so I don't know how to answer their question whenever they talk about the border, other than he's been a giant cunt. And the rest of the world's go, like when we were detaining German tourists for like 3 weeks for no apparent reason. The rest of the world's going, fuck that, I don't want to deal with this.
I'm still wondering why we still officially are going to host the World Cup in FIFA. I'm expecting that shit to end up being canceled. I'm surprised those countries are coming here with the way we're dealing with immigrants right now. So that remains to be seen. But best of all time, I don't know. Sherbert, I got to move it on. But I'm not seeing it, man. I'm just not. I'm not fluffing on that one bit.
Have a good night, Tim.
You too, by the way. Thank you. Real quick on in the comments, MAGA will be begging immigrants to come back. And that's another issue, too, is that with Trump securing the border, there's no guarantee that that's going to last. I mean, because there are a lot of corporations in this country that want that cheap labor and shit back. So the minute Trump is gone, it would not surprise me, liberal or conservative, it would not surprise me if some of Trump's strict immigration and border policies get rescinded. Even George W. Bush would not have wanted those policies as strict as they are. So, it's going to have to be something other than border security. I just can't imagine people 100 years from now talking about, now, he's responsible for building a wall. So that wall is going to be up because of Trump, because he made it higher and wider and longer. There are some Trump legacies. The wall, Operation Warp Speed, the COVID vaccine is his. He don't take credit for it. And the way he rolled it out, I guess he can't. But his vaccine, if there was something to be talked about for dozens of years, Operation Warp Speed is what Trump should be getting credit for, because the rest of the world attributes that to saving millions of lives. But because he rolled it out so terribly and didn't even defend his own vaccine for a while, he's not getting credit for it. But that's out of all of Trump's accomplishments, Operation Warp Speed and that vaccine should by far be his biggest accomplishment, because of the tens of thousands, if not millions of lives that were saved. But the way he rolled it out, he can't even take credit for that. I think the other thing might be the Space Force. He created a whole new branch of the military. Those are 3 things I could see lasting for a while. But the securing the border, I don't see people talking about that 100 years from now. I just don't. If I'm wrong, but I don't see that. He stuck his own foot in his mouth with that. Yeah, Pagan. With the vaccine, he ruined what should have. Now that's some Nobel Peace Prize type shit. That should have got him some major recognition, giving us the vaccine. But he handled it so poorly that he gets no credit for it because the way he handled it, people attribute him with deaths because he didn't tell everybody to take it. Both sides are responsible for the shutdown, Senate and Congress not doing their jobs, operating the government without passing a budget since '96. Both sides are responsible, but at the end of the day, I think the Republicans are going to get hit more with it because just a few concessions to the left, and they could have got. I mean, they don't need many people from the left to make it work. They're giving the left nothing. They're not conceding anything to the left. They're giving folks on the left zero incentive to work with them. Okay, good evening, Carmen. On is that am I pronouncing that right? Hang on, let me turn my volume up. Am I pronouncing that right?
Close enough.
Okay. Okay, what brought you on? Good evening, by the way.
No, I've been watching your show for about a week or two, and
Thank you.
You're clearly like a little left, but pretty squared away otherwise.
Appreciate that. Yeah, I tend to lean a little bit left of the center line. I do agree with that, but I don't see everything right to be terrible. But what do you think about the government shutdown? Do you fault the Democrats for this? You fault the Republicans for it? You fault a little bit of both?
You know, to be honest with you, that's actually something I don't really care about. It happens every year. Every year. It's like government's going to shut down, and then it's the same drama every year.
You don't care about the government. What if it goes into several months?
So be it. I mean,
wow. You don't care. Okay, well let's chat about Hegseth and Trump speaking to a room full of generals. Did you catch any of that?
Yeah, actually, I watched Trump's speech entirely. I caught bits and pieces of Hegseth.
Your opinion?
I was actually pretty annoyed because Trump was just giving like a basic-ass campaign speech that I've seen 1,000 times. And it's like, you don't have anything better to tell these generals than, look at me and how awesome I am.
Is there anywhere that Trump speaks at all that he doesn't at least give somewhat of a campaign speech? I don't care if it's in front of the UN, if it's in front of NATO. You're going to get how horrible Biden was and how great he's done.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Do you think that moves the country forward? You think it's a good thing?
No, I don't really think that's a good thing, honestly. I think it's I don't think he needs to bring up Biden anymore ever again. He doesn't need to compare himself to his predecessor anymore. We're, you know.
Now you voted for Trump, right? You did vote for Trump, correct?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. Do you see him constantly comparing himself to Biden as, you know, a synonym for derangement syndrome? Maybe he just has it on Biden?
I think Trump honestly thinks the 2020 election was stolen, and I think that's his hang-up.
And he thinks
in his own mind, he honestly believes that, and I'm, whatever, 50-50, maybe.
I guess the question I would wonder is, why does he think that? I mean, where's the evidence? Where's the proof of that?
Well, go back to 2020, the 3 a.m. mail-in ballot drops where the Biden curve goes like, you've seen those, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've seen that, but there's also a whole lot of stuff.
The votes are coming in. Hey, we're going to, turn off the news and we're going to, shut the doors and no one's allowed to look anymore. Guess what? 200,000 votes came in North Carolina. It's like, really? Fucking really?
Well, but the problem is when you tell your side to not do mail-in voting, and you know that there's a whole lot of votes that have been mailed in that have not been counted yet, you know you're going to have a whole lot of liberal votes coming in.
Yeah, that's fair. And that's why I'll say, man, 50-50, I don't know for sure. Because to me, 2020, I was like, fucking 50 state landslide. Like, nobody's voting for that geriatric patient. Like, he's obviously, he's mental. Like, he's got Alzheimer's. He's showing evidence that he's no longer of the same mental capacity that he was as vice president.
But I'll just say it like this. This is what I often tell my MAGA viewers. If let's say Trump was half out of it like we believe Biden was, dementia, don't know where the hell he's at. But even though Trump was out of it, he still was talking about, being pro-life, defending Christianity, defending two-way. And the other side was 100% sane. It was like Gavin Newsom or somebody. He could clearly speak, but he was against all your principles. Who are you going to vote for?
Yeah, I could see that, where it's like, okay, if Trump was, geriatric Alzheimer's, very clearly gone.
Yeah, but he's still, even with him being,
I'd probably just abstain that year.
Well, no, you're going to abstain and let potentially somebody who goes against all your principles win?
I'd honestly probably abstain. I mean, I'm generally a libertarian, so I'd probably look into the libertarian candidate, but they really screwed that pooch in 2020 as well.
Wow. Let me ask you that. With you being a libertarian, if we often talk about letter grades like we got in high school, A, B, C, D, and F. How do you think Trump is doing so far? He's coming up to the 9th month or whatever the case may be. What letter grade would you give him so far? He's almost a quarter through his term almost.
I'd give him a B.
Above average.
He's doing generally okay. Every little once in a while he messes up to the point where I'm just like, what the, like today, giving that campaign speech to generals, and it's like, why? And everybody in the country's watching this, and you're just egotistically bragging to generals, and it's like, what the hell does that do to the world?
Yeah.
Well,
the reason now
out there and tell generals you heard Secretary of War over there.
I agree with you, but the reason why, when you said you were a libertarian, the reason why I asked that, because libertarians tend to be for small government, and you're saying, okay, in addition to that speech he gave, he's talking about using the military for, training on U.S. citizens. You heard him talking about taking Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon, and Seth Meyers off the air for speaking negatively. As a libertarian, how do you view that? I mean, he's using big government to tell folks, if you're a comedian on television and you're saying too much negative stuff about me, you should lose your broadcast license.
I don't remember him talking about that today, but to your point, no, I don't think the government should cancel broadcast. Personally, Jimmy Kimmel, I don't think he said anything that I even think he needs to apologize for, which is what Disney wanted him to do to keep a show going.
Right.
I mean, I watched it, and it's like, okay, what did he say? Because honestly, he just said, hey, what happened to Charlie Kirk's horrific, and all these people celebrating it. I don't understand why you do that. And then he just oh, and by the way, Trump's a dumbass. And it's like, okay, just normal ass Orange Man bad comedy. That's what you always do. That's what I expect.
Well, I think he tried to suggest that the right was trying to hide the notion that Charlie Kirk was taken out by MAGA. He was indicating that MAGA did it.
With the people that I watch on YouTube, that's true.
You think? Whoa! Let me hear that again. You're saying you believe that MAGA took out Kirk?
No.
Oh.
I'm saying the accusation that all the MAGA people were doing their best to say the person that did this was not one of us, I think that's true. That's what's true, is that the people on the right were doing their best, not knowing everything, saying the person that did this was a lefty. Which I think killing Charlie Kirk, you got to be a lefty, because Charlie Kirk was a pretty benign MAGA guy.
Well, I don't think you gotta be a lefty. I think maybe Charlie Kirk just says something you disagree with. I think in the case of Tyler Robinson, I think that he had a lover or somebody he was with that was transgender, and he didn't like the fact that Charlie Kirk seemed to be anti-transgender.
Yeah.
Now I know the MAGA side believes that if you're favorable to the transgender community, that automatically makes you left, which goes against their counterpoint that we don't hate anybody. We love the transgender. We just don't want to shove down people's throats. Well, then why do you assume that everybody is trans is left? You kind of admit if you don't have any hatred toward them, then why would you assume that they automatically go left? They should be fine with you
I agree
too.
that is to their prominent members on the right that are like very outspoken trans, very outspoken gay, and they're right. Like there's Blair White on the right who's, trans and right wing, and everybody on the right wing is pretty fucking okay with calling Blair White she, her. They don't go out of their way to misgender her.
Probably the most well-known transgender person in the country leans right. Bruce Jenner. I mean, Caitlyn Jenner. That person leans. That's a Trump supporter.
They're apolitical. They're not a political figure in my opinion. I mean, their coming out story, I think, is what popularized transgenderism, and I think a lot of transgenderism is kind of a social contagion these days.
I'm just simply saying he came out and admitted, he or she, well, she is the pronoun, I guess. She came out and admitted she was supporting Trump.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
So, I mean, I don't know anybody that's more well. I think Caitlyn Jenner is somebody that everybody in the country knows who that person is.
Yeah, I agree, because when Caitlyn came out, she was put on every station, every talk show, everything. And I think from there is actually the start of the transgender social contagion.
Oh, could be.
Prior to that, like transgender people, they'd go on Jerry Springer and everybody just like, yeah, you're trans, whatever. Like, you look like a lady, we don't really care, but you should probably tell your lover that you're packing some heat before you go to the bedroom.
Yeah, you absolutely should let people know. But let me ask you this in regards to what Trump said earlier about using the military, training the military in dangerous cities in America. What is your opinion on that?
I don't think that the military can get... I'll give you a 50-50, because I was in the military at one point. I've actually done what they call a RUDX, which is a realistic urban exercise on urban terrain.
Okay.
Realistic? I don't remember. Whatever. I've had a few drinks. But
good.
Anyway, I participated in those. I will say they are good training, but it was not me standing guard in front of a federal building and pushing back violent protesters.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, military in cities like Chicago and Portland, they're not going to be participating in day-to-day police activities. Like, they're not going to pull you over for speeding. They're not going to give you a ticket for jaywalking. None of that. What the military...
Why are they there? Then why are they there? I mean, if the governor don't want them there, the mayor of that town don't want them there, why are they there?
So the purpose for sending the military into the quote-unquote lefty cities is to have... The military's there to provide self-protection. And in that, it's like you're allowed to self-protect if you're protecting someone else as well.
What do you mean by self-protect?
Self-defense. And that's what I meant to say.
Yeah, but I think where the issue is because when you look at the top 10 most violent cities in America, the cities he's choosing are not at the top. He's skipping over liberal cities that happen to be in Republican states to just go after his adversary. Like, Chicago is not number one. Memphis and St. Louis and New Orleans are all listed as more violent, homicidal cities than Chicago, but yet you keep hearing him yell, Chicago, Chicago, Chicago. Why is that?
I think Chicago gets more news play on Fox News, and I think Trump watches Fox News.
Yeah.
So, mind, Chicago's the hellhole because Fox News talks about Chicago. I'll tell you this, when they first started talking about sending troops, the National Guard into Chicago, I went on Google Maps and I just started dropping the street view all over the place in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I'll tell you, I had a hard time finding neighborhoods that was like, oh, fuck that. Like, everything I saw was like, their lawns look better than mine. All the trash is picked up. Hey, there's a school and all the kids are wearing uniforms. Like, I didn't see anything, and maybe I'm just not. I tried finding the ghetto neighborhoods, apparently the southwest side of Chicago. I don't know if it's like, hey, there's just 2 or 3 streets in Chicago that really kind of suck.
No, it's neighborhoods that look all right, that look manicured and still have plenty of violence. I'm a long-term resident of Chicago, And I'll say there's plenty of violence there, but as I pointed out, Chicago, there are cities that you would drop those same needles and you would find areas that are way worse than Chicago.
I'd fully support sending the fucking Marines into LA like right now.
Why?
LA is the only city I've been to in America that I was there for a week. I had my life threatened twice, drive around town, and it's just like homelessness and garbage all over the streets. You want to talk about it looking like a war zone? Just LA on the day-to-day is...
I don't know. The problem is, the reason why us liberals, us on the left have a problem with it is because there are reasons crime happens. I mean, whether it's poverty, lack of education, fathers at home, whatever you want to come up with, lack of salaries, lack of jobs, lack of opportunities, just sending in a bunch of law enforcement, if you don't address any of that, it's not going to make crime. Unless you're going to leave the military there indefinitely. If you don't address the reasons why this got this way, it ain't going to end.
I don't really know how it got that way, that Chicago's like terrible prior to 2020, but I will say 2020, the summer of love, and everybody went defund the police, let's hire all these DAs that just let criminals go. That's the problem that I see, is it's not some... I don't think Chicago needs the fucking National Guard there. They don't. I think Chicago PD can handle all the crime in Chicago. The problem is you send them over to the DA's office, and the DA just says, whatever, cut them loose.
Yeah, you can, and I mean,
out on the streets.
yeah, but I mean, obviously Trump did that with the January 6th participants, so you can't make people, you know, I get it. If you commit a crime, the judge should keep your ass behind bars, but you can't, because Trump is doing the same thing for his own people that he's criticizing the liberals for doing. So, I mean, that's just the kind of the way it is, but I think a lot of folks have a problem because they're suggesting that it looks like Trump is deliberately targeting heavily minority cities. Like he's targeting places that have a lot of minorities in them.
I hate to say it, but I mean, blue cities are heavily minority, and that's just the way it is. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know if minorities just vote blue no matter who, or if that's the way it comes, but I mean, so to your point where you said St. Louis, he's not sending the National Guard to St. Louis because they have a Republican governor. I'll agree. That might be unfair. Yeah. Because St. Louis is not exactly a wonderful place to be either.
Memphis is even worse.
Are you leaving these blue cities alone in these red states? Are you waiting for the governor to say we can't handle it?
Yeah, Memphis is even worse. Memphis is number one. Right now, out of all top cities in America, Memphis is number one. You barely hear Trump mention it. It barely comes out of his mouth. Every time you hear the guy talking, he's talking about Chicago. He has Chicago derangement syndrome, sounds like. I give you the last one. I do got to move it on, but the man sounds like he has derangement syndrome on Chicago.
Yeah. Well, moving on. It's good talking to you, Tim.
Come on through anytime, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for dropping in.
All
right. Moving on with the program. By the way, go ahead and drop it out. Moving on, you know how to drop it out? There we go. All right. What does that say is why won't he say that instead of crimes? The problem I have also is that when you're talking about shithole cities and problematic cities in America, there's a lot more to make a town problematic than just crime. Your roads and bridges are fucked. Your infant mortality rate is skyrocketed. There's nobody, the folks in your school districts, your kids are dead last in education. Nobody has health care in your town. There's no jobs or opportunities in your area. When we talk about a shithole city, we only focus on crime. There's a lot of other things that can go wrong in the town that can make it a shithole, and it does not have to have a huge murder rate. But for some reason, unless it's a high crime, Trump is not going to call it a shithole. And that's probably because most of the shithole cities that are in those other categories are in red states. Poverty, infant mortality rate, dead last in education, all of that stuff's in red areas. He's not talking about or addressing any of that. He's going solely based on crime. And fact is, most of the crime, like my last caller was saying, it's going to happen in liberal cities. I mean, it's going to happen places where there's the most amount of people at. You're not going to have a little tiny town with 10,000 people rampant with crime. It's going to be big cities. Thank you for reaching that Patriot level, Moran. Tim, all I know is that I want Miss Mobetta and Gen X to run on a ticket together. Good luck with that. And for the Packers to stay above the Bears in the NFC North. You probably will get that last one. Now, the Packers just had a tie with the Cowboys, and I was pissed. And the Bears did win with a block kick against the Raiders. But the Packers are going to probably finish higher than the Packers are going to probably finish higher than the Bears, almost certain. But you're not going to get Miss Mobetta and Gen X on a ticket together. That ain't going to happen. As far as the government shutdown goes, I'll just refer to Trump's own words. Blame the president. Damn. You know, Trump says a lot of things like that come back to haunt him. When he met with Putin the other day, it turns out that I think it was from 2014, I can't remember the date, but I posted it on a program earlier. President Trump took to social media when Obama was in office during the whole Syria debacle, and Trump was trying to meet with Vladimir Putin because they had Russians in Syria. President Trump took to social media and said that any president trying to meet with Vladimir Putin is incompetent and does not deserve to be president. He says a lot of things like that come back to bite him later. Remember when it was Hillary Clinton in a hot seat and he said that anybody that pleads the fifth, it means you're working with the mob and you got something to hide. Then later on, he had to plead the fifth. I mean, he says a lot of shit like that ends up coming back to bite him. I don't know why. I don't know how MAGA don't catch any of that stuff. But a lot of stuff he says, it's like, okay, well, was he wrong then or is he wrong now? Because he's constantly doing it. That's what happens when you're a professional troll, is you say shit that later on may come back on you. I mean, I'm just giving you some of the quotes off the top of the dome. I could easily do a little research and find plenty more things that he said that was great to aim it at somebody else, and then he was in the same situation and suddenly it was okay to do it. He's constantly doing that, He doesn't even know at this point. It could be, humans are not supposed to be stacked on other humans like in cities. By our nature, we are hunter-gatherers. We need to learn how to fend for ourselves in the rural cities, worldwide ruined civilization. I don't know if I totally agree with that, because civilization is how we have evolved much quicker. If you're out in rural areas as a hunter-gatherer living off the grid, evolution in this country will be evolution on the planet will be much, much slower. We evolve because you have several people living in a civilization together, sharing their minds and able to, let's say, for instance, I invent the automobile, like like Ford did. Well, other people that are in the same civilization can then tinker on it and make the automobile better. Maybe somebody comes up with better rubber to make the tires better. They figure out ways to make the tires have more tread. Somebody else figures out how to tinker with the engine to make it have more speed. If you're living out in a rural area, nobody's going to be tinkering with the shit you come up with. You may come up with a tiny home or something to live in, and because nobody's tinkering with it, it's only going to improve by what you know. And that's just not going to improve civilization as fast. So I don't know if I agree we should all be hunter-gatherers living out in the middle of nowhere for that simple stance. It's something some people like to do, others not so much. Because if you're living off the grid as a hunter-gatherer, that only works as long as you are healthy and able-bodied. Something happens while you're out there hunting, you fall out of a tree or some shit, and you break your leg. You ain't hunting, you might not eat. In a civilized society, you got other people that can look out for you while you down. You out there by yourself, shit, you might end up dying right there at the base of that tree you fell out of. Or at the very best, you end up going back to where you're at and you're laying in bed and nothing is getting done. So there's good and bad to it. And none of us can beat Father Time. Eventually, all of us are going to get older and not be able to go out and hunter and gather as much. So I prefer the civilized portion from that standpoint. In your 20s, yeah. In your 50s and 60s, no. Also, evolving could also mean wars. True. That is true, but if you're out there in the grid by yourself, and somebody show up to take your shit, you got less defense. You're also, I mean, so it could go both ways. I'll just say it like that. Let me go ahead and continue on with the program. What does that say there? Somebody was trying to spam, I guess. Republican-led House and Congress during Obama-led the government shutdown in 2013. Yeah, like one of my guests said, there's always government shutdowns. It does come up often. But under Trump, it's going to seem like it's forever because Trump's going to be on TV every day. He's going to be, talking shit constantly, being a professional troll. It's going to be a different type of government shutdown under Trump because the way he handles things, he's going to give little to no incentive to the left to come over and work with him because he's going to be criticizing him every day. I never said off the no, you didn't say living off the grid in a cave, but I'm just simply saying you mentioned hunter gatherer or whatever the case may be. If you're not in a society, evolution happens slower. I'll just leave it like that. Trump wants war in and out of the USA. You better impeach him now. They're not in a position to impeach him. They're just not in a position to impeach him at all. I mean, the Democrats have no power. And the Republicans, he ain't doing nothing wrong for the Republicans to impeach. So that's not going to happen. Trump knows shit. What do you mean by that? Oh, no, Trump is going to be on TV, LOL. You hear this shit? Yeah, Trump is going to be constantly, every day the government is shut down, he's going to be on TV saying we wouldn't have to deal with this if the Democrats would wise up and come on over to the right side. So there you go. All cities are dangerous in the wrong areas. However, this soft on crime bullshit, especially violent offenders, is criminal in itself. I agree to some degree. I mean, I do believe that, I do believe that we should punish criminals, but with the war on drugs, with the 3-strike laws, there are plenty of cases in American history where we went too far. You can be too soft on crime, but you can also be too harsh on crime as well. I mean, as soft as people claim we are on crime, keep in mind we do have more people in this country incarcerated than any nation on earth. I think we even have more people in jail in America than they do in China. I believe China has less people in jail, certainly per capita. So soft on crime, call it what you want. We still are locking up a lot of people. So I don't know how much harder we can be on it, but we do lock up a lot of people. Real quick in the comments, both sides threaten to open the Epstein files. It's going to be hard to get the Epstein files when Trump is so adamantly against letting them get out. Trump does not want the Epstein files to be released. MAGA reacts. Good evening, MAGA.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. I appreciate you holding. What do you think about the way they talk to the military, both Hegseth and Trump?
I think that was a stupid waste of time.
Wow.
I don't know what the fuck was the point of that.
I mean, to lay their law, to let the military know this is what it's going to be like. There's a new sheriff in town.
I guess, but like I said, it's a waste of time. They don't need to make a whole spectacle of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like it at all.
A tremendous waste of money, too. I mean, to fly, I don't know how many generals, but to fly them all to one location and give them housing and things like that, they all had to get on aircraft and shit like that from all over the world. Some of them people were, stationed in Africa and shit like that. They had to fly all the way to the United States to sit through that.
And that doesn't bother me as much. The government's very good at wasting money.
I don't get that. When we talk about giving Americans health care or some illegal immigrant getting health care or food stamps, you guys are all over. But something like that, which obviously costs thousands of dollars, that's a complete fucking waste, you don't really care.
It's just the way money works. Like, certain things you could waste, other things you can't. There's a limited amount of hospitals with a limited capacity. If we give everybody health care and it's unlimited, those hospitals will be overrun. But these people are using airplanes and resources that are just sitting there collecting dust. Whether we use them or not, we're just wasting paper,
I don't know about you. You really think
we're wasting?
You really think we're in danger? You really think we're in danger of our hospitals being overrun?
I mean, if we give everybody free health care, unlimited free health care, Yeah.
You think if everybody in this country
that's
gets
what's happening in all the countries that have free healthcare.
No. You think if everybody in this country, Americans and illegal immigrants, all got free health care, they would all just run to the hospital?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, everyone would be coming here to get the free healthcare, and I mean, that's why every time you ask me about immigration, I'm like, I'm okay with immigration, but you have to do it at a rate where we can keep up with the people coming in. And that goes for infrastructure like hospitals and other things like that.
You threw me off with that, and I see in the comments, Munchkey said that is the dumbest take in the history of takes. They're going to run to the hospital if they get free. I can see the argument that if you give people free health care, it might promote people to come to this country, I suppose. But everybody's not going to run to the hospital. If you ain't sick, you're not going to the hospital.
What are you talking about? You know how many people skip their like yearly examination, and you know how many checkups people have and how crazy people are? They'll read on the internet about some bullshit and they'll go to the hospital every time they see something on the internet that makes them think they're sick. I mean,
that's crazy. And I see Eddie is politicking in the comments, says, yes, I want to go to the hospital every day. I don't understand. You really think giving people free health care is going to make them just run to the hospital?
I mean, look at all the places that have free healthcare. Their hospital systems are maxed out.
No, I always talk about I lived in Australia. They citizens have universal health care, and their hospitals were not any more crowded than they are here in America. Ain't nobody going to the hospital unless they actually need to go there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how Australia is. I just know
I'll
how
just tell
UK
you,
is. I know how Canada is.
You know something
I have
to
no
be
experience with Australia. I do know Australians are much healthier than we are because they do everything outdoor and they're very active.
You know something to actually, when you look at healthcare is almost like giving you free oil changes and maintenance for your car, as opposed to having to go when it actually breaks down. If you got free healthcare, you can go to urgent cares, or you can go to your actual doctor's appointments, and you can catch shit before it turns into an emergency. If you notice the areas where people don't actually have a lot of health care, that's the areas you go to where they have crowded emergency centers. Because the only time a person can go in and get something looked at is when they're really in bad shape because they don't have health care. If you gave everybody health care, I think the hospitals would be emptier.
I think this problem is going to solve itself soon. We're going to have AI doctors doing most of the bullshit work, so the real doctors could fucking concentrate on actual problems. So when you have like a mild cold and you just need antibiotics, you're not going to waste an hour of a doctor's time.
Yeah, but you still need health care.
Take care of it.
It doesn't matter if you got AI doctors or not. The citizens still need health care. There's too many people in this country that do not have health care. So they're not going to get access to that either.
No, but what I'm trying to say is that the AI healthcare is going to make it super cheap. I mean, it's already happening. And also telemedicine. The more telemedicine is going to be used and the more AI is going to be used, the cheaper healthcare will be. We need to work on making healthcare cheaper, not giving it away.
I don't buy into the notion that the capitalists in this country are going to let healthcare be cheap. They'll find a way to keep the price of that shit still high. I don't feel confident that it's going to get cheaper because they came up with AI. I mean, just like, they went from taxis to driving to Ubers, and the people who drive Uber get paid way less than a taxi does. But for you as a person, getting in an Uber ain't much cheaper than a taxi. They found a way to keep the price up even though the overhead is lower. Huh?
You're crazy. Uber is so much cheaper than a taxi. When was the last time you took a taxi?
You ever heard
of in the airport used to cost me like $40, $60. Now it costs me like 20 to 30.
You ever heard of surge? You ever heard of surge? You ever heard of surge pricing?
Yeah, surge pricing is surge pricing, but on average, with cabs there is no surge pricing. There's $60 every time.
Right.
There's no surge or surge.
Yeah, but you're only counting the times when you get in there. You're counting the $60 to get from the airport in a taxi versus the $40 in Uber. You're ignoring that the fact that surge prices got to be figured in the average too. If you came home one time and you had to pay $100, that's factored into the cost. Uber is not much cheaper than riding in a taxi, yet the drivers get paid significantly
Uber all
less.
the time, and I never deal with surge pricing, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And when I did use taxis, I always paid the extra taxi fee.
Well,
so in my experience, every time I've taken a taxi, it's cost me like $40 or more. Where every time I've taken an Uber, both non-surge during slow times, and Uber is definitely cheaper. That's why everyone's using Uber now.
Yeah, and that's not what people are saying in the comments at all. People in the comments even saying what I'm saying. Uber, as somebody who drove for Uber, and I used to drive a taxi as well. I've done both of them for a few years. I don't see it anywhere near like you're talking about. I know for a fact that Uber drivers make a lot less than the taxi drivers used to make, and the price for the customer is not that big of a difference. It's significantly different in regards to how much the drivers get paid. The drivers, an Uber or a Lyft driver, make significantly less. If you were a taxi driver, that was a career job. You could make enough money to actually live like a person with a good job. Uber and Lyft don't pay like that. You make significantly less driving for rideshare, yet the price to the customer is not that big of a difference.
Yeah, but again, my argument isn't that it's a good career path. I'm just saying it's cheaper for the customer.
No, but what I'm saying is,
all my experience tells me that Uber is cheaper.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I'm using your health example. I'm saying that even though the overhead for Uber and Lyft is significantly less than it was for taxis, they found a way to still keep the price up there quite a bit. You're making it sound like if they go to AI doctors, all of a sudden insurance is going to be much cheaper. I don't believe that. They'll come up with a reason or an excuse to keep it up.
No, it's gonna be so cheap you're gonna just pay fucking cash. It's just like all those tele services, like the ones for therapy and stuff. It's so cheap to get on there and see a therapist, and this technology makes things cheaper. I don't care what you say or what weird anecdotes you use. Technology always makes everything cheaper. They're gonna find a different way to rip us off, but the basic healthcare, when it comes to like seeing a doctor for like a quick checkup for anything that doesn't require actual physical contact, is going to be done by AI and is going to be done quick. It should be done all by telemedicine right now, so you don't need to waste more than like 5 or 10 minutes of a doctor's time. You get on a Zoom, he talks to you for like 10 minutes and writes you a prescription for cough medicine or whatever the fuck you need. I mean, it's going to make things cheaper. I don't care,
Yeah, I hope you're right, but I hope you're right, but there's
technology makes things more expensive.
Yeah, I hope you're right, but there is, like I said, when it comes to leaving it up to the capitalists, they're going to come up with ways of making money one way or another. I mean, we often have conversations about how minimum wages remain stagnant, yet even though they're not paying a worker much more money, the product and the goods and services continue to go up. They find excuses to keep raising the price. Even though the overhead cost is not going up that much, they just want to pocket more money. So
salary is not the only overhead. As a business owner, salary is not my only.
Salary is a huge part of it, though. Salary is a huge part of it for a lot of companies.
It depends on what you're selling.
Salary.
In my case, it's not. My bigger problem is the actual product's overhead.
I'm just simply saying the fact that if you keep labor costs the same for year after year after year, yet the price of your good and service is going up significantly, a lot, by the way.
Not touching the minimum wage doesn't keep labor costs the same, because labor costs changes every year. Wages go up and go down on their own all the time. So minimum wage barely affects that. I told you, like, no one really gets paid on minimum wage. So you raising it is just something to jerk off the voters so they could vote for you. It's not gonna actually.
It don't really matter. It don't really matter what they pay. It don't really matter what they pay. Fact is, the average salary in this country has not went up in comparison to how much the goods and services we're buying is costing. That's why a minimum wage worker of today, his money does not go as far as a minimum wage worker back in the 90s or 80s. It just like what they
There's no such thing as a minimum wage worker. I want you to show me one person. You still haven't really given me one person that works for minimum wage.
Well, the only reason why hold on. The reason why there is not a minimum wage worker now is because minimum wage. Hold on, you're not hearing me out. You're just going on and on. You're not hearing. You're not hearing anything I'm saying. You're just going on and on and on. What I'm saying is the reason there's not any minimum wage workers at this point is because of COVID. If you go back before the pandemic, there were people working for minimum wage. Once the pandemic hit.
Type one in the chat if you work for minimum wage in 2019.
What does that got to do with what we're talking about? Just because nobody minimum wage is watching?
COVID was the reason people are getting more than minimum wage. So let's go back to 2019. Who was working for minimum wage in 2019?
Somebody with Deborah Richards in the comments. Somebody just put in the comments. I got Deborah Richards on TikTok. Lucid Kingdom on YouTube said me. People were working for minimum wage. They weren't doing
What
it.
kind of job? I'm very interested. I want to know what kind of job they work minimum wage.
Dollar Tree, flipping burgers. Now you went from I want somebody working minimum wage. Now you need to know what job they is working. But fact
I want to know if
is,
they're actually telling the truth or if they're bullshitting. Because I've never met a single person working for minimum wage. I've never hired someone and paid them minimum wage. Every one of my employees gets at least $20 an hour, and the minimum wage around here is probably like $7-8, maybe 10. Actually, no, I think we raised it to like 15.
let me just say it. Let me just say it this way. Let me just say it this way. Because you're saying nobody works for minimum wage. The fact that they don't want to raise the minimum wage shows you that there are some people out there that are getting paid that. Otherwise, they wouldn't care to raise it. If it
could cause inflation if they said $20.
How?
Because money is it's the same thing you just said, that raises went up, but also inflation went up.
That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense.
Negated by inflation.
The same
thing is going to happen if you raise the minimum wage.
That makes
it's
no
gonna
sense.
Just cause inflation, and it's going to cancel it out anyway.
That makes no sense, right?
The minimum wage doesn't actually fix
what you're saying makes no sense. You're saying nobody works for minimum wage. So let's say the lowest person right now working is working for $15 an hour. Okay, so if you raise minimum wage from $7 an hour to $13 an hour, why would anybody be against that if everybody's making at least 15?
I mean, if that's what you do, that's fine. But
why are they? No, that ain't what I asked you. That ain't what I asked you. That's not. The point is, people are against raising the minimum wage because there are people that are paying the minimum wage.
And also, we raise the minimum wage here in Florida. Florida makes a lot of money. And
that ain't got nothing to do with. That ain't got nothing to do with what I'm saying.
We voted like 10 years ago to raise it to $15.
That ain't got nothing to do with what I'm just saying. What I'm saying is, you're telling me nobody is making minimum wage. Yet there's all these people that are against raising the minimum wage. If everybody is making at least $12 or $13 an hour, then why would you have any problem from it going from $7 an hour to at least 11? People are against that jump because there are people that are going to have to get raises in there. People are making less than you think they are. Just because you don't know them don't mean it ain't happening. They're fighting against the rate. They're fighting against an increase for a reason.
Then anyone we're getting minimum wage should just keep voting Democrat. Never vote for Republicans. If that's what you're saying.
Anybody making under $20 an hour, if your finances are your concern and you're making less than $20 an hour, you probably should be voting Democrat. Just like if you're a millionaire and you don't want to be forced to share money or give a minimum wage increase, you should be voting Republican. But if you're dirt poor and barely getting by, you have no business. If you're voting based on your income and how much you're bringing home, you have no business voting Republican. You should be voting Democrat.
Train like your warriors.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I'm a business owner. That's why I vote Republican.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. As a business owner,
minimal regulation, because all that shit does is just give me more work to do and costs me time.
Yeah, as a business owner, you don't have to worry about the Republican Party trying to force you to give your employees health care. They're not going to force you to give them a minimum wage increase. They're not going to force you to let them unionize. As a business owner, you should be voting Republican. But your employees that want to raise, that want health care, that want to unionize, they should be voting Democrat.
I agree with you.
Okay.
I mean, there's certain people where I tell them, you need to vote. Like anyone who's like an illegal immigrant, I mean, they can't vote, but I tell them to at least they should hate Trump. Like, you have a legit reason to hate Trump. Because even before all this shit, I remember talking to one of my friends like 6 years ago. He was legit getting deported, so I was like, all right, yeah, you should definitely hate Trump if you're getting deported. So there's nothing I can do for you. I mean, some people are actual positions to hate Trump, and I agree with them. Other people, they're just hating him just because they're fucking retarded. They don't know what they're talking about.
Well, when the guy gets on TV and says, "I hate all Democrats," that's kind of enough right there to hate him by itself.
He didn't say that. He hates his enemies or whatever, or his. And again, that was like to show how much better Charlie Kirk is than him. Like,
No, he said it before then. He said it
compared to Trump.
No, he said it before Charlie Kirk was even dead. He had already said, I hate all Democrats. When Charlie Kirk died, I think that was the third time he had said it.
We fought over this before. It's the Democrat leadership that he hates.
Yeah, and you're right. And I already told you that if you're going to say you hate Nancy Pelosi because you hate what she stands for, if I voted for Nancy Pelosi because I like what she stands for, then that means you hate me too. If you hate her because of what she stands for.
We want to convert you to a Republican. We work hard to get you to come. I think I'm up here talking to you because I want you to finally see the light and become a Republican.
You're doing a miserable...
Not really. I don't even like Republicans. Just come on the right or come closer to the center.
I gotta go. You're doing a miserable job. Try again next time.
Hold on, but I'm doing
real quick.
Gangster grandma telling everybody who voted for Trump that they're a fucking cocksucking, gum guzzling ass eater. She called you all that shit. She said that you were eating ass. I mean, fucking, if you're gonna disrespect the other side or just regular voters, how are you gonna get? I don't think Democrats will ever win another election.
You crazy on that?
Them getting even.
The Democrats will win another election. It doesn't matter how stupid they are or how far to the.
Lifetime. Not if they keep insulting their voters.
I don't think you realize that. I don't think you realize, but the stuff you saying that is as a reason why the Democrats will never win also applies to Trump. Democrats went too far to the left. Trump is going too far to the right. Democrats are insulting voters. You don't see Trump doing the same thing? Trump could actually snatch defeat out of the jaws of victory.
Insult specific people.
That's how you interpret it. That everybody else don't interpret it the same way you do. That's your interpretation. Like when he said, "I hate Democrats," you interpreted it to only mean the people that are in the party.
He was talking about after they voted against him.
That's your interpretation.
Against him in Congress.
That is your interpretation, though. Other people have a different way of interpreting that. They don't see it the way you do. That just like when the Republicans laughed at Nancy Pelosi's husband getting attacked, but you guys said it was wrong to laugh at Charlie Kirk because Charlie Kirk died and her husband. Well, that's your interpretation. That ain't everybody else don't look at it that way.
You guys are never gonna win because you guys keep misinterpreting things, and I don't know how many elections it's gonna take of you misinterpreting what people are saying before you realize that you actually have to argue what they're saying instead of just saying they're racist.
You misinterpreted.
Misinterpreting what Trump is saying, and most people see it the way I see it.
Right.
You're gonna keep losing elections.
You misinterpreted who won the 2020 election. I gotta go. Appreciate it. All right, moving on with the program. They hate Trump, but I hate them too. I really do. I hate them. I cannot stand them because I really believe they hate our country. That is an actual quote from tech support. Yeah, that is what he said. So that's a reason in itself not to like him if you lean left. I mean, it ain't like he was being favorable to the Democrats. So people are making too many excuses for him. He didn't mean it. He was kidding. He didn't. Yeah, that's the same thing with the Charlie Kirk stuff. He taking it out of context. It was a joke. People can come to their own interpretation. A lot of this stuff that people say is a joke. You notice when they're saying it, ain't nobody laughing. When they make these statements that are so-called jokes, nobody is laughing. Like, Trump getting in front of somebody said that him talking about using military in U.S. cities for training was a joke. Nobody in that room laughed. Nobody, you didn't see nobody on stage, nobody laughed at that. That's not a joke. To me, the whole joke thing is some kind of way of trying to explain away something that looked bad. Well, just say it was a joke. That way it'll work. No, it ain't a joke. People can hear and interpret. So I'll leave it at that. Keep misinterpreting, you're going to keep losing. Well, I don't think so. I don't think it has anything to do with just the interpretation. I think that the Democrats could continue being the Democrats. If Trump goes too far to the right, threatening to take away people's free speech, threatening to put military in U.S. cities, the Democrats could be off their fucking rocker and still win if he goes too far to the right. Isn't that what they said caused Trump to win in the first place? Is Democrats were putting transgender in schools and shit, and they were going too far to the left. You can go too far to the right as well. I don't think people on the right realize that, but there is a such thing as going too far to the right. So even if the Democrats are not doing what they should be doing, if you're talking about taking away porn and shit, You're probably never going to get a full legalization of marijuana under Trump. You're never going to get the Epstein files under Trump. I mean, he's doing some things that no matter how you feel about the Democrats, you're not going to like that stuff either. So it depends on how far he goes with it. I'm so thankful we have support in Portland right now. Oregon needs the help, says Brandy. We'll see how it goes. You don't actually have support, Brandy. You have law enforcement. If Trump sends in the National Guard to Portland, that ain't support. Support is actually addressing the reasons why Portland got that bad to begin with. The National Guard cannot stay there indefinitely. So whatever reasons that led Portland to go down the path of whatever, Trump is claiming it's a war zone or whatever the hell he's claiming. Okay, there's a reason why that happened. If that's true, I don't believe it's true, but there's a reason why that happened. If you don't address the reason why Portland became a war zone, once the military leaves, it's going to go back to being a war zone. The same way how America invaded Afghanistan. We had soldiers over there, and while we were there, they were not oppressing women. Women were allowed to vote. Women were allowed to drive. Women were allowed to own businesses. Women were allowed to do things they had not been allowed to do for God knows how long while we were there. The minute we left, they went right back to treating women the way they were before we came here. That's what's going to happen in Portland, Chicago, DC. They're going to go right back to doing what they were doing because you didn't address the root cause. Another real world example of that happened here in America. You look at how the racial imbalance was in this country. After the Civil War, when blacks gained freedom, Abraham Lincoln left Union soldiers in the South. Just like we had military in Afghanistan. While the military was in Afghanistan, they couldn't oppress the women. While the Union soldiers were in the South, blacks suddenly had freedom. You even had black politicians and shit like that because they were being protected by the Union soldiers that were down there. The minute those Union soldiers were called out of the southern states, they went right back to oppressing black people. They went right back to all of the same shit. The Jim Crow laws popped up. They went right back to doing as much as they could in concert with the law. They couldn't bring back slavery, but they came pretty close with the Jim Crow shit and all that. So you gotta address the root causes. If you don't address the root cause, just simply having a force in there is only going to last as long as the force is there. In DC alone, they're estimating that the National Guard costs $1 million per day that it's in DC. You think we can afford to have National Guard at that cost in major American cities all over the damn place? Chicago is significantly bigger than DC. So if you're paying $1 million a day to have a National Guard in DC, it's probably going to be 2 or 3 times that to have them in Chicago. Imagine how much it's going to cost to have them in Los Angeles. That city is really spread out. That is a big geographical area. How much is it going to cost to have a National Guard there per day? Portland. Now he's talking about New York, Baltimore. You really think we can afford to do that for a temporary solution? Good luck with that. It sounds great. It ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen with it. It's not gonna happen at any level of longevity. He may send him there to piss off the liberals because that's really all it's about is pissing off the liberals. You're not gonna get any long-term change where you're gonna look back 5 or 6 years from now and be like, man, DC is so safe. I'm glad Trump did that back in 2025. The only way you're gonna say that is if they're still there in 2030. Otherwise, it's gonna come back. Big Boss says, did you ask that Tim when the Democrats were giving taxpayer dollars to illegals? Taxpayer dollars to illegals how? What do you mean, just giving them a check? I'm not aware that was happening, Big Boss. National Guard gets paid to do nothing. Usually, so bitching about paying them to actually do something is kind of insane. No, it's not, because the National Guard works like, 1 weekend, a month or some shit? They're in D.C. like every fucking day. No, it's a big difference. Their duties have been significantly stepped up when they're in D.C. No, I don't know what you think is happening in D.C. Said the National Guard gets paid to do nothing. So No, what they're doing there is significantly greater. Not to mention the vehicles are being used. There's a lot more expenses being made. So your argument is not true. They're not arresting people. That is true. That is true that they're not arresting people. They're there for an intimidation factor. They're there so that the hoodlums and the thugs are not going to act up when you got military all over the damn place. But as I stated, because you haven't addressed why people were acting that way to begin with, the minute the military leaves, they're going to go right back into their habits again. Let's say, for instance, you and me got beef. We're drug dealers or we're gangbangers or whatever. You want to take me out, I want to take you out. But while the National Guard's there, you're not going to fuck with me, I'm not going to fuck with you. Maybe you want to sell product, but you're not going to sell product when they got tanks at the end of your fucking street. I want to do the same. We're going to hold off on all of that. But then if they leave, we're going to go right back to doing it again. I mean, there's too much money to be made. The minute they leave, we're gonna settle our score between each other, and the victor is going to be selling product again. Until you address that, it's not going to end. And I don't see where he's addressing that at all. While Americans slept on the streets, they just raided and arrested 30 illegals in one apartment complex. Okay. Were they all rapists and murderers? Anyway, Trump supporters, especially the male supporters, are undercover bisexual. Damn cool, Ed. 100% facts. Says Trump supporters, especially the male supporters, are undercover bisexuals. Yikes. I'm not even going to touch that. I'm not even going to touch that. Thank you, the show of life. Appreciate that. Thank you for the support. Do like Afghanistan. What do you mean do like Afghanistan? How are they getting the product in the first place? How did the product normally be got? I mean, it's normally coming in across the border some way, somehow. So I'm just going to simply say, like I said, there's a reason why crime and violence happens. If you don't address those reasons, just simply sitting in the National Guard is only a temporary fix. It's just only a temporary fix. The National Guard is not going to stay there forever. And the minute they're gone, it's going to come back. It's only going to be a matter of time before some bean counter is going to say, we could save money by reducing National Guard or getting rid of them and beefing up the police or something like that. That's not a solution. That's like putting a Band-Aid on a cut or something like that. That's not the way to solve that. You know, they always say children that don't have nothing to do, they get in trouble. Open up some fucking rec centers, basketball courts, swimming pools. That's how you're talking about kids that have nothing to do, so they're running around the neighborhood stealing shit. Give people stuff to do. That has a lot better of an outcome. Raise salaries, create jobs and opportunities. All of that stuff has a much longer play on bringing down crime than just putting in a bunch of tanks and Hummers on the street. But good luck with it. See how it works. Yeah, tech support because white immigrants mostly come illegally. That's Darf. As far as I know, black people don't own trucks, boats, or flying vehicles. The last person that did tried to smuggle over had an overdose on his own supply. Now, of course, the drugs are coming into the black community by ways of other people. We know that. Anyhow, folks, I do appreciate the 100 and somebody got to tapping. Thank you for the 176,000. Appreciate that. As always, you know how the program is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. So if you like this type of dialogue, we are MAGA friendly. Always have been MAGA friendly. Always will be. We're generally on most weekdays. Give your boy a sub if you happen to be watching on YouTube. Follow the program if you're watching on TikTok or Instagram. But nevertheless, just like the rest of you folks, I got to get up and go to work in the morning. I'll catch you guys tomorrow. You guys have a good night. Thank you for tuning in.